everyone. Welcome to the Felicity, Optimist versus Cynic podcast with us, your hosts, Melissa and Fish. This is a Felicity rewatch podcast. We'll watch an episode each week and join you here to talk about it. And just a reminder, the reminder we give every single time, this is not a spoiler-free podcast. So if you have no interest in knowing anything that happens in the future of this show, there's a chance that we'll drop some tidbits here and there. But we have so much fun here. Just stick around and enjoy it anyway, because we love talking about the show. I am Melissa, and I'm here with my fabulous co-host, Fish. Fish, how's it going today?
It's going pretty good today. Took a bunch of notes and found out a couple of interesting things that I didn't know, and we'll share along the way.
Well, I am very eager to hear what those things are, and I'm sure I'll find out at the same time as all you listeners. So that's very exciting. Before we jump in with saying what we're talking about today, I'd like to make a formal apology to Susan.
Oh.
Susan, from our last podcast. I was hard on Susan, and I don't think without reason, but I really went for her. So nobody complained about it, but I was just thinking about it.
Yeah. I mean, I know I'm usually the person going for everyone, but you had your reasons. You were defensive of Julie.
Yeah, she didn't need this, but I digress. Enough said about Susan. Susan, I apologize. What we're going to talk about today, though, is a different episode of the show, which is season 2, episode 4, called The Depths. This one aired October 17th, 1999. It was written by J.J. Abrams and directed by Michael Schultz. Here's the description for this one. Ugly truths surface when Felicity and Julie air their grievances while trapped underground in a stalled subway train. Meanwhile, Noel and Ruby drift into a first date when Felicity fails to meet them at the museum, and Ben clashes with a cranky customer who is Terry Polo. Okay, that actually does cover quite a lot of ground for this. So, I don't know. What do you think, Fish? Where do you want to start with this one?
So I feel like I need to talk a little bit more about the hair.
Oh,
yeah, because it's starting to expand.
Yes.
Or fluff.
Yes.
Sort of. I don't know if she's using gel or something. I mean, she must be. I don't know.
It's going to get fluffier and fluffier. It's going to keep growing.
Yeah, it's a look, and while I'm not a personal fan of this phase of the hair, I just want to throw love and support at Carrie Russell, because in looking up some of the stuff she went through with this haircut, I mean, she was getting literal death threats.
Oh my goodness,
she was just being harassed like no other from her fans. And I came across this interview that they did with her, and they asked her, what would you tell your younger self? And I don't remember the whole interview, the whole answer, but she definitely says, do not cut your hair. And it all came about because apparently she played a prank on J.J. Abrams, where she put on this wig and then took a Polaroid of it and just sent it to him over the summer in between seasons 1 and 2, and was like, I cut my hair, hope you're fine with it. And he called her and was like, would you really cut your hair? And so it ended up being a thing. But so she kind of, I guess, had a little more of a part in that decision after reading this interview. And And she says, definitely don't cut your hair. People will send you death threats. Um, and eventually, your hair will grow out and your fans will forgive you and come back to you, but you will never forgive your fans.
Ah.
I know. I was just like, oh man,
Hmm.
that must have been like really hard for her to go through.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's a
anyway,
lot. Thanks for sharing
yeah,
that.
we continue to love and adore Carrie Russell regardless of what her hair looks like. And then yeah, I think we can maybe just hop into this early conversation about weird gooey eyes with
Hmm.
Carl and Chuck and Larry.
Yeah, well, so I do want to mention Larry.
Larry.
Larry, that's not a name that we brought up in this episode, is it?
Yeah, Larry's the guy that Chuck
From
was
last
talking to
season. Oh, okay.
on the
Oh, got it, got it,
voice.
got it. On the
Yeah,
call, yeah.
about Carl and how he doesn't bathe and he eats his hair, which is totally
Right, right,
true.
right, right. I actually want to back it up just a little bit more than that, even because this episode opens on an eye. And if you
Hmm.
are familiar with other J.J. Abrams shows, a certain Lost opened up on
Yeah.
an eye more often than not, especially in that first season. That was a motif that he really got into. The whole show opens up on, I believe it was Jack's eye. So this is something that I think intrigued him, and this is I kind of like it when you see this sort of stuff. A lot of times you'll see it from directors because showrunners don't always get an opportunity to do more shows. J.J. Abrams has been very successful. He's gotten to do a lot of shows, but sometimes you'll see this more with movie directors where you'll see like the early idea of something that later on becomes the motif of like a whole movie. Like I feel like I've seen that with Alfred Hitchcock a lot. And so I did think it was interesting to see this one moment where we get this shot of Carrie Russell's, a close up of her eye. And we will keep coming back to that picture that she's drawing as we go through. But I did like
It's
that.
and it's I think a much better picture than the droopy
I
hands.
was thinking that too, right? Probably different artists worked on different things, and maybe we're meant to see that she's progressing. Not sure, but yeah, you're right. Then the next thing we see is this advisee Carl, who now has a name, but we've seen him before. He's been a hypochondriac before, and this time he comes in to complain about something completely different, which is having overheard his roommate talking to somebody on the phone and giving a laundry list of things that he doesn't like about Carl. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Carl.
And it's positioned as like Chuck's bullying me. And then
But
also, like when he starts to describe the things that Chuck's saying, he's saying that I don't wash my clothes with detergent and that I eat my hair. And Felicity's like, okay, so he's saying things that aren't true. And Chuck's like, Carl's like, no, they're true. She's like, what's happening?
yeah. I mean, I agree with Megan. He's weird. But he's a person. So, he probably shouldn't be listening in on other people's conversations if he doesn't want to get hurt.
Mm-hmm. What I like about
So,
this scene to open up the episode is that this is, I think it's fair to say, this is a strange episode with a lot of comedic influence.
mhm.
And they set the tone for that right from this scene because this is actually very much like, when Megan is going to come into the room and we're going to get a lot of quick clipped dialogue where they're each cutting each other off. And you can see the game of this scene emerge very early where Carl's trying to get advice about what to do about Chuck. And with Felicity initially in the room, this is the RA who's going to be like, "Oh, try to work it out, be diplomatic, try to, have talk about your feelings." But then Megan comes into the room, and that's not the kind of advice she's going to give. So Carl's now in this room with these two RAs, and he keeps sort of putting out it's as if they aren't even having a conversation with each other. He just keeps running the thread of what he should do about Chuck. And it starts with, his the initial advice he gets from Felicity, which is like, "Oh, it doesn't matter what people say." And so, like, he starts going off in this direction of, "Okay, I'm just going to let it go, not let it bother me." But unfortunately, simultaneously, the more important conversation in the room, the conversation that the majority of the people in the room are invested in is the one between Felicity and Megan, where as soon as Felicity says it doesn't matter what people say, Megan is now like, "Aha, this is the perfect time for me to bring up the fact that I heard Julie sing a mean song about you, and I'm going to tease you with this over as many sentences as possible in between Carl's talking." And so Felicity is getting more and more riled up. Megan is teasing her more and more. And now Carl's starting to get fired up, and his position is starting to switch from like, "I'm going to let it go with Chuck," to where does he land by the end of this one?
I'm gonna go beat him up.
Mm-hmm. And Megan's
Yep.
like, "Yeah, go
Yep.
ahead, kick his ass."
Yeah. And then he, says, "I think you're a better RA," which in that moment, I don't know. I don't know who was worse because, as per usual, Felicity is making it all about herself, and she's literally doing the opposite of what she tells him to do.
Yes.
Right? She's like, I'm listening to this story. I'm getting hot under the collar. I'm gonna kill her. That's
Yeah.
where she leaves the room to kill Julie.
Yeah, that's the
And
idea.
so, um,
Might be a
I
little
guess
hyperbolic, but that's okay.
perhaps,
Yeah.
perhaps,
But you can't say these things flippantly around Carl.
yeah, because I mean, we see Carl is not, he's not the greatest. But
Mhm.
then, I mean, Chuck did say true things. I don't
Mhm.
know if I would call Felicity the slut of Washington Square Park, although
Mhm.
that was a great rhyme.
Mhm.
Um, I'm so sad we didn't get to hear the song. I
Mhm.
really, I really would have liked to hear it,
Well, I
but
think
no.
that's this episode's version of the box. It's like the whole
Yeah,
episode is about this song. Everything that happens in the major plot points ultimately happens because of this song. Um, I mean, arguably, maybe not the Ruby and Noel stuff, but the uh, the fact that we never get to actually hear it is probably the better choice because we can imagine so much more about it. And we're put in the same position as Felicity for so much of the episode up until the moment she actually hears it when it's on a commercial break. Thought that was a good touch.
yeah, I really wanted to hear the song.
Yeah.
I
Well, it leaves
just
you
did.
wanting more. I wonder if that was ever like a bonus feature for the show somehow. Not like a bonus feature in terms of DVDs or anything like that, but I wonder if they ever had there was ever somebody on the internet who tried to make a song like this. Um,
Possibly.
but I mean, I do think that this just set up so much for us. We know exactly what the point of this episode is going to be from the opening scene. It's going to be done with a weird, funny tenor, but it's really going to be can Felicity and Julie have a discussion that isn't this stuff? But it's probably going to be prompted by this. And if that's what you thought you were getting, that's what you get. They take us on
Yeah,
a weird journey to get there, but
I
ultimately, what they
do.
promise us is what we see resolved.
Yeah, and I do want to say, like, I wasn't as far off as I thought I was going to be with
Mm-hmm.
my guess of cave diving.
Yeah, it wasn't that far. Yeah.
It wasn't that far off. I mean, we didn't meet the little squid,
Hmm.
but we did meet some moles.
We sure did.
So, just saying, not as far off as I thought it was going to be. Also,
Yeah.
in this first part where Megan says, I was listening to Julie at Epstein Bar,
Hmm.
just because I was doing the Glub segment at the end,
Hmm.
and I saw Epstein Bar written, and for some reason, the fact that there's a hyphen in it all of a sudden made me think, wait, I know this. Like, I hadn't thought about it, but
It's a
that's a
health condition.
disease.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not know that. It's herpes that causes mono that 9
Hmm.
out of 10 people are exposed to in their life through
Well,
saliva.
sometimes you have a play on words and it ends up being that.
Yeah, I mean,
Is
I
it
just
what you
thought
want
for a
to
college
associate with
town.
food? I don't know, but they got clever and it didn't work out quite the way they thought it would.
Or maybe it did. I mean, I guess it's clever for a college town.
Hmm.
And but also kind of gross for all of your patrons.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
So,
they and they don't go
yeah,
too far out of their way to constantly name drop Epstein Bar in the dialogue all the time, but it's the location that's important.
apparently.
Yeah. But
So, yeah,
so Felicity comes out of this first scene hopping mad, and she's
very.
on a tape with Sally. She's leaving Sally a tape, as she does, and she's angry. One of the angriest scenes we've ever actually seen her in, I
Yeah,
think. And she's ready to punch Julie in the face. She says those words.
yeah. She, I like the way that they had her walking down the street because now she's showing her belly button. And we can tell how mad she is because the force with which she is hitting the ground is making her shirt like kind of just show us her belly button a
Yeah.
lot. And so it's like anger, belly button.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that. And she does take the time to put her jacket on, but other than that, she is out the door and she is there like talking to Sean, wanting to know where this girl is right now. And
Yeah.
he knows. It's the song. You
Yeah. You
heard the
heard
song,
about the
huh?
song. Yeah. I really like that we're seeing Felicity angry here. She very rarely went to that emotion in season one. And to be able to see her, I feel like her anger gets immediately converted to sadness or um like being analytical or depression, sometimes comedy,
Mhm.
but we don't often see her just let loose and be angry. And I like that they put that here.
Yeah. And you're right. They made her like hopping mad. Like the way she was when she was mad was so physical.
Mm-hmm.
It was like she couldn't stay still. It, it was like she was a little, she was vibrating like all over the place with anger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was great.
One of the little touches that I enjoyed in this quick scene with Sean, because she's just marched to the loft. She wants to find Julie. Sean knows that, like you said, Sean knows that she's heard the song by seeing Felicity. But what is he doing? He's mixing smoothies, which is going to be one of the probably best known inventions of his among fans. This will be one that we hear about quite a bit. So, or it'll have a number of plot moments in future episodes, and so he's mixing it here in this scene, and then it actually gets named in a later scene. So that's a fun moment, I think, for a lot of us. If you're wondering, when did Smoothaze come about? Go and look for season 2, episode 4, The Depths, and that's where you're going to get it.
Yeah, and it looks so bad with him just stirring it in that bowl because it
Mhm.
sounds like smoothie,
Mhm.
right? But it apparently it's got something like mayonnaise in it, or it is something like mayonnaise. I don't. Oh, it looks so bad.
Yeah, who's to say? We don't really get the recipe, and he hasn't named it quite yet in this episode, but we're getting there. We're getting there real soon, and we're just getting the hint of what's to come with the smoothies phenomenon that is soon to hit. Um, so we move from here to Felicity is going to now should be in Elena and Noel's apartment, and she's still angry.
Mhm.
And because she didn't get a chance to talk to Julie, she has to unload with Elena and Noel. And this conversation, it felt like, after what we saw in episode 3, where Noel and Felicity patched things up, it feels like they're right back on par with being friends again.
Yeah, I mean he's still pretty snarky. I like that they're keeping up his humor that has a bit more of an edge. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's more friendly
Mm-hmm.
now, and it's also directed at Elena. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I wrote that down too. I was like, oh, they're friends again. And then I wrote, but he's also snarky. Um,
Yeah, I think it's a like a normal level of snark. It's not a snark intended to hurt Felicity. It's a we're together in this joke sort of thing.
it's less so we're together in this joke with Elena because she's like, I had this poem written about
Yeah,
me called Stinky
stinky
Girl.
girl. Yeah,
Do you want to hear it? And Noel's like, nope,
yeah,
really not interested. Don't care at all.
yeah. And Noel turns that on Felicity when she's like, how would you feel if I sang a mean song about you in public? And Noel's like, I feel sorry for the public. You have a horrible singing voice. And she's like,
Yeah,
right, right, right. Yeah,
this I enjoy. I like this Noel.
yeah.
Uh, so good on him
But I
and the
think,
writers.
the last episode did a lot of work to get most of our characters back on friendly terms again. I mean, I would say after the last episode, the divisions are between Felicity and Julie, which
Yep.
obviously we're going to go into this episode and try to address it. But after the last episode, Felicity and Julie was still a major rift. And of course, Ben and Noel. But I mean,
That was never a thing.
yeah, that's kind of like the tension of the show, really. Like not their tension with each other, but they're not meant, like, at this point they have never been really good friends.
Yeah.
So it that's a rift, but the idea of repairing that is like, well, that would be something brand new. um
Yeah.
but I would say it feels to me like most of the other characters who were on decent terms before are back on relatively decent terms now.
Well, I think Felicity and Ben are not
Yeah,
after that speech that she gave and
yeah,
her rearranging her whole schedule
yeah, that's true.
to like never see him again.
Well, that's the thing. We just, they're actively trying not to see each other. They're, in terms of what the writers are doing here, they're giving us a chance to explore some other things, bring in some new characters. Um, they're resetting. Like we've said, they hit the reset button, and now we're heading into some new batch of story. And so I think it's good that they pull them apart here to give us a chance to lay some other groundwork.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying these moments that they're back together. I'm enjoying that Felicity does have also a little bit more of an edge because she's finally pushing back with Megan and saying, stuff behind her back. For the record, having Megan as a roommate is not a substitute for seeing the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Okay.
That is something that every person should do. and learn the callbacks, dress up, bring the appropriate things to throw at the appropriate times, and get into it. I mean,
Is this a movie that you still see playing sometimes
um,
in like
I'm sure it
theaters?
still plays on TV, and they did a remake with Laverne Cox
Oh,
that was, I mean, it's never going to be the original, right? But
man.
um, it's, I thought it was good.
Okay.
And, but the way that you see Rocky in, right in college, did you ever go?
Nope.
Okay. So I had some friends who were in it in high school, and so I saw it like this in high school. You go to a theater, and what they do is like a movie theater with a stage in front,
Mhm.
and they play it in the background while they have like live actors acting it out
Mhm.
in the foreground. And there are like certain phrases where the audience calls back. There's certain times when you throw stuff on stage,
Mhm.
and it's like a whole interactive thing.
Yeah.
And it's just something that like you should do once, you
Mhm.
know. Some
Okay.
people are in the cast and do it many times, but at least once. It's it's just not the same, and it has nothing to do with mole people.
Okay.
It's completely about transvestite aliens. So don't worry about the mole people.
Hmm.
And Melissa, this is something that we're now going to have to do together since you've confided that you haven't done this.
Okay. I'm just curious where it'll be available.
It's available everywhere. I guarantee you,
Everywhere.
somewhere, everywhere. And if you're in like you're trust me,
Yeah,
there's usually
you're
midnight
thinking LA
showings.
has some access to this.
I have a feeling that somewhere within 15 to 30 minutes of you, there's probably like 5 places you could go do this.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Challenge put forth. I'll let you all know how that goes.
If I'm
Okay.
not there, I want pictures. And I want to see
But
who you dress up as. Ooh, okay, listeners, uh, gotta have your feedback here. You've seen, um, do we have any pictures of you, Melissa? I mean, you're kind of like the
not that
main
we've shared.
picture on, um, like in the logo.
No,
That's
you're in there
actually
too.
like an abstract. I'm a fish.
Well, that's true. But we're
Um,
both in the
yeah, but we
yeah.
are on the like intro thing. Like you can
Hmm.
see I'm the tall one. She's slightly shorter than me.
Yes.
I'm the one that looks like I'm about to fall over and flatten her.
Okay.
Um, so it's a little harder because you're not facing forward, but
Hmm.
she's also in the logo facing forward, but
Whoa.
it's like
It's a
a
cartoon
drawing of
version.
her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who do you think she should dress up as? I want to hear all your ideas because we're gonna have to think about this.
I think appearance wise, you go Janet, right?
No,
Okay. All
no.
right. Well, what do I know? I haven't seen this performed live. I shouldn't be
Mm-mm.
contributing.
I'm thinking a pink wig. Everyone knows where I'm going with this.
Oh.
Little maid's costume. Yeah,
Oh.
that's what I'm thinking. But
Okay.
that's just me. I don't want like everyone come up with your own. Who should she dress up as?
All right. Challenges put
Maybe
forth
th-
to everybody here. You're just,
maybe this
wow,
will
look
be
at
a
you. You're
poll.
on fire. You are absolutely on fire.
I'm
Um,
just excited for you. I can't believe you've never done this.
yeah. Hmm.
But you know
Well,
who probably will do this?
ooh.
Ruby. Ruby will probably do this at some point because it's something that, I feel like she will get swept up in a group of her friends. And since she's currently not dating Noel, as Noel says, um, she has some time to go out. Maybe at some point she'll drag Noel along, and we all know who Noel would dress up as.
Well,
So
I think that their status is probably changed by the end of this episode.
Yeah, which is why I'm thinking maybe she'll pull him along.
Aha. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, I think in terms of like things to go to, a big part of this episode is the idea of what they're calling the modern,
Yes.
an art museum, which I assume they just didn't get the rights to say the word MOMA,
Yeah, that's exactly what I was
which is the
thinking.
Museum of Modern Art. I think that's what they meant this to be, right, Fish? That's what they were going
Kind
for.
of, yeah, sort of like how this is NYU.
But it's
The
UNY.
modern is clearly MoMA.
Yeah, the idea here is that Felicity and Noel are making plans to go to the Modern together, but Noel has invited Ruby,
He has.
which makes a lot of sense for him and is strange for Felicity, but she's rolling with it.
Yep.
And so we're going to see her take the subway to get to the Modern, which is where basically the bulk of this story then comes unglued. But I did just want to say about my own experience with the MoMA. Uh, I have a memory of having a class because I grew up in New York. I grew up on Long Island, and I was on the west part of like Nassau County, the west part of Long Island. It didn't take that long to get into the city, as we called it. And so sometimes we would have, if we had a class trip every now and then, that would be to a museum somewhere in the city. And I remember one time I had a class trip for an art class, which seemed kind of strange because it was sort of like an extra, um, it was a not part of like the core classes, but I don't know. Anyway, we had this plan to go to the MoMA. And so we all got on a bus. The bus drove us into the city, and I went to the MoMA, and I hated it
Oh.
so much. Look, I enjoy the arts. I enjoy quite a lot of art. I have art all on my walls. Um, there were some things, installations in the MoMA at that time that I remember as I don't know how old I was, like 12. I remember looking at it and feeling like this is such a waste of my time. And it was a big thing to think at that age. I mean, we were on a class trip. We were like, what's my problem? There were three specific things that I saw. The first one that I remember was there was a huge canvas that was just blue. Like somebody had taken a roller, made it all blue, hung it up on the wall. I was like, okay, continuing to walk. Then I walked to another room. There's a huge canvas, equal to the size of the all blue canvas. And this one is mostly, I think it was white. And then in large block letters, it said, oof. Then, shaking my head, I continue moving and I saw what finished me off. It was a piece of tracing paper that had been folded in half. A tiny little rip was made in the middle. It was unfolded again and framed. I took one look at this piece of tracing paper with this little rip in it, and I walked out of the museum. I don't remember how I occupied my time for the rest of the class trip, but I was like, I can't with you all. I cannot do this. And I'm sure that we had some exercise we were supposed to do while in there, but I had only scathing things to say about those three pieces. And those are the only three things that I remember from the whole museum. So somebody
Yeah.
who loves the MoMA, make a case for it. Convince me otherwise. Give me points on some of the finer pieces that you've seen there. I was so scarred by those three that it was just like, guys, let's just get back on the bus. Let's roll this thing up. Let's go back to Long Island. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. I'm not a huge modern art fan either. So I really can't help you out.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people do like it. And hey, to each their own. Whatever
Absolutely.
makes you happy.
I'm not saying that everything that I like is realistic, that, it doesn't all have to be still lives with photographic precision. A lot of the stuff that I like has a blended look or has an abstract-ish look, but it also needs to be something that is impossible for me to do, for me to
Yeah,
appreciate
a
it.
lot of the conceptual art stuff is, there was that whole period of art where the theory behind it is that the artist isn't the one creating the art. The creation of the art happens between the piece of art and the viewer.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, there was a lot of stuff in that kind of area. I'm a bit more traditional. I'm like a Rembrandt kind of girl.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm like an ancient Greek architect, like architecture and like the Elgin marbles. Like that's what I consider sort of the best art from my perspective.
Yeah. Fair
So,
enough. Okay, so look, I mean, if you're going to try to see people talking up the modern here, it's not happening on this podcast, but you are listeners, you're welcome to provide feedback on why you love modern art. See
mhm.
if you can help sway us in a new direction on this. But strangely, half of the characters in this show are meant to be convening on the modern in this episode. So I don't know if this was like sponsorship or what was happening. I think this was one of those episodes that was meant to be a love letter to New York or meant to, or like, hey, we're in New York. Whether it's a love letter or not, I don't know, but it was meant to really show New York as a character, and the subway and the modern become part of that story. Felicity is going to now get on the subway to go to the modern to meet up with Ruby and Noel. But who else gets on this subway car, also happening to be going to the modern on this very same day at this very same moment?
Oh, Julie.
It's Julie.
Julie. Yeah, she comes in, she does not realize Felicity is there and sits down right across from her.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I like about Julie is she's clearly ridden a subway before.
Mm-hmm.
Because when Felicity gets on the subway, she clearly has not figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
She's like grabbing onto poles, running into people. Like she doesn't have her subway legs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think they're having fun with that since they make her move so many times
Mm-hmm.
during these scenes. And she just cannot keep her balance. It's like, I don't know, like,
Yeah, and she is off balance in general because she started so angry about Julie, and then here it is. Julie's right in front of her. And so I think the off balance that she actually is also is emotionally where she is right now.
yep.
And they're going to just sort of cut away from this right away just to be like, ooh, problems are brewing. Here's the twist. The plot just thickened. They're on the same subway car. And now back to Dean and DeLuca. We'll let you see more of this in a little bit. And in terms of other people who don't know what to do with themselves and they're just frantic, we meet Maggie.
Yeah, I absolutely love Terry Polo.
Mm-hmm.
I think I first saw her I probably first saw her in West Wing.
Okay.
And then she was in the whole Meet the Fokker series, right? Um, and she was on Frasier.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I saw her, coming up here and I was like, she's probably going to be in a few episodes. I mean, with Ben checking her out, with her coming in with attitude and his little like, yes, ma'am at the end, I was like, he's interested. He's something, I feel like something's going to happen here.
Your
So,
prediction is good.
yeah,
They
I was,
have
I was
a
feeling it from the
very
start.
not cute, meet cute here.
Yeah.
She is a caterer on a mission.
Yes.
She's got an event coming up. Things have fallen through.
Yep.
She needs 125 brownies by 5 p.m. Ben, make it happen.
And he does. He's like, all right, hold on. I just need to call the manager. We're going to get this taken care of. Picks up the phone. Javier's not even there, and he's still funny. You know, Ben is like, we need 125 brownies. I don't know. Blonde hair. Come up here if you want to see her.
Yep.
But we don't get that moment. But he's taking care of it. He's got her. And she's got a credit card, so he can find out her name.
I mean, this is a little weird. I mean, she's a caterer, and she's coming to them asking them for brownies. She's going to come back asking for cookies, and you wouldn't leave this to the last second if you were catering. I guess this was somebody else's event. Is that right? And she's stepping in.
Yeah, it's like a friend of hers, and that's why she was so stressed.
Okay.
Because she was like planning it for, I guess, this friend of hers.
Okay. So she wasn't able to take care of this on her own. So she's going to Dean and DeLuca and trying to get them store-bought. And Ben's going to make it happen for her, but not without her being rude and frantic and just in a real hurry and not having time to talk to him.
Yeah. And okay, fine. This is first time they're meeting, and he's gonna help her out. And just as long as she doesn't come back and do it again.
Yeah, as long as that doesn't happen, it will all be fine. Right. Cut to 20 minutes later into our podcast. Maybe 40. We'll see how it goes. So now we are going to cut back to the subway. We're going to get your classic guy selling stuff out of his overcoat. That's the image we start with.
Yeah, he's working it. He's a micro entrepreneur. He's there. He's hustling. I like him. I like his energy.
Yeah, it really gave me a sense of place.
He knew how to ride the subway.
He did.
Yeah. So this whole scene for me, I don't know. I went through like a lot of like emotions and expectations. So first I was angry. I was like, learn to ride the subway, Felicity. And then when the subway stopped, I had this feeling of like, and now The Walking Dead. Absolutely loved the loudspeaker that nobody could understand whatsoever.
Not one distinguishable word except for remain calm, 2 words.
Yeah. Also enjoyed in the script that they call the subway car a wagon. They were like, Julie walks into the wagon and the doors close.
That's strange.
That's not even what's in your script. They say car later.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we cut to like, it's been a whole hour already, and I am loving the nervous bald guy. He's come in with energy. He's
and we have some stuff happening between Felicity and Julie in these moments too, right? Because that first moment when we cut to the subway, Felicity tries to start a conversation before the subway stops. She's like, so did you get the message that I stopped by? And Julie is on a mission to ignore Felicity. That is her only goal. It's like, as awkward as this is, Julie's thinking, I can get through this with saying nothing to Felicity because it won't be that long, right? So that's like kind of Felicity's going to try, Julie's ignoring her, and then, when Felicity asks, did you hear that I stopped by? And Julie's like, yeah, wasn't going to do a thing about it. And Felicity knows what's up, right? Like, this was a very clear interaction. And then, Felicity has this this, it's going to get worse because Felicity says, oh, well, the only comfort to me in that moment was knowing that in 4 stops, I would no longer be on the subway with Julie Singer of Evil Songs. And then the subway comes to a grinding halt, and you just know that that prophecy was not to come true. and yeah, that's where we get this intercom, or whatever device that is, the remain calm. You have no idea why this subway is stopped. It'll be a cause for speculation later. And then we get the caption that you mentioned, the 1 hour later, which reminded me of the episode Finally from season 1, the one that I love so much, where we're getting captions throughout and about everybody doing finals and how much time I have left to study. So they're using that again here to show us how much time is elapsing underground.
Yes. And I do like that too. I mean, it's a while.
It is. It's going to end up, I think the last time we see one of those captions, it's been 3.5 hours, which is bananas. I did not necessarily think it was realistic. I think there would be a little bit more complaint from the people on it. Like, did any of those people have somewhere to be? We hear one of the guys, who was on his way to get a loan, so you figure he missed his appointment. But, why was everybody else riding the subway? Why don't they have we're trying to get here, we're trying to get there, somebody's waiting for me? I would have expected a little bit more impatience, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like these people, they found something to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what happened.
Mm-hmm.
They sat there for an hour. I mean, sure, they could have hit the red button and tried to complain to somebody, but seriously, who? Mm-hmm. Nobody's listening to you.
Yeah.
Which is why Nervous Bald Guy is like, we should run for it because sarin gas.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the moment when the first moment when it was such a New York moment when he just says into the abyss of the subway car that he's in, and the other people who were in there, he says, is this normal? And nobody moves, nobody responds, nobody even notices that he's talked. But everybody notices, but they're all ignoring him. And I was like, oh, that's New York.
Yep.
And then he keeps going because he's actually a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, I mean, he is talking about real stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that one moment was priceless. I especially like that he was talking to, I mean, he looks right at the guy who I will continue to call the judge. Mm-hmm. And the guy, absolutely 100% shuts him down, doesn't mm-hmm. even look at him, makes no movement with his face.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't even exist. Yeah, so fun stuff. And then, once we've come back, so it's an hour later, this guy says this thing, and now the salesperson is back.
Micro entrepreneur,
and he goes up to Julie. And he sees that she has a guitar. So why she's bringing this to the modern, I'm not sure, but she is. It works out very conveniently. And he sees that she has a guitar. So he thought, for sure, you need a harmonica too. So he's got, something to sell, and he's going to try to sell her a harmonica.
Which, makes complete sense because she obviously wants to be the female Bob Dylan, who's known for his singing. Maybe not so much. Mm-hmm. But I also enjoyed that she was like, I don't want that. And he's like, no, come on. I'm not going to sell you this one. I have ones that are all wrapped up in plastic. So I'm not giving you my saliva filled, gross harmonica here. Mm-hmm. But I thought Julie was handling it just fine. The fact that Felicity felt the need to stand up and like shoo this guy away from her, I was
Mhm.
just like, really?
Yeah.
Because all she wanted to do was sit down and keep talking.
Mhm.
So I'm like, come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a Felicity thing to do, I suppose, that she's just like, I'm going to butt back into this situation. And this guy's got to scram for me to do that. So she tells this guy to get lost and just sits right down next to Julie again, as if Julie's given her any indication that she wants that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So now Felicity gets to the heart of the matter. She's sitting next to Julie and she's like, hey, I heard about your song.
Yeah. I really wish we'd heard that.
Well, I think we get
But
into
you
a
know.
loose conversation about, yeah, we don't hear the song, but we heard enough lyrics from Megan to understand that some overt things were said about her. We haven't heard yet that the name of the song is Felicity. Um,
Yeah.
the so and Julie's performing it in public, and she's citing free speech as, it's totally okay to do that, and I wasn't singing it to make you come running to me. Um, and Felicity, Julie makes a note about, this is just how I deal with my anger, and Felicity is like, oh, so this is you after you've dealt with your anger.
Yeah.
Ah, and you certainly don't get that sense at all because Julie is icy cold and Felicity. I mean, at the end of the day, a song like this, I don't know. At what point can you start to say, like, not that Felicity is going to go out and get Judd to be her lawyer for this, but, um, Julie performing a song with Felicity's name as a title, she's saying mean things about her, I don't know. There might be recourse for Felicity here if she really wanted to take it, but
I mean, it would
um
have to be under slander, right?
yeah, I would think,
And
right?
nothing that Julie is saying is categorically untrue that
Slut
we've
of
heard of.
Washington Square Park. I
Um,
don't see how we get
yeah,
there.
okay.
It's
Yeah, slander, but she's not going to do that. We know she's not going to do that.
yeah, where she'd rather repair the relationship with Julie probably than get Judd to be her lawyer. But nonetheless, it's a bold move. And I think it is sort of an interesting thing to think about what Julie thought was going to happen when she performed this, because yes, she wrote a song. Yes, she performed it, but she's performing it at a place where most of her friends regularly go. And chances were that somebody was going to bring this information back to Felicity. And Julie had to know that. So, was she doing this because she wanted to hurt Felicity, but never thought that Felicity would ever approach her about it? She knows Felicity. Um,
Mhm.
Felicity was probably going to make a beeline for Julie after finding this out. I mean, what do you think was Julie's motivation here? Do you think she was, in fact, assuming that a conversation would spring from this? Or do you think she was just like, I want to hurt Felicity and I'm not thinking about what happens after that?
I don't think it was either of those things. I think it was what she said it was. This is how she processes her emotions.
Mm-hmm.
She writes songs. She was real mad and hurt, and this is the song she wrote. And yeah, maybe there is a bit of spite in playing it, but that's part of her therapeutic kind of practice is you write a song so that you can play it. Maybe she didn't have to name it Felicity. I
Mm-hmm.
think that was a bit much. But I had a feeling that her expectation probably was that Felicity would come and talk to her and that Julie would just shut it down. Like she
Mm-hmm.
did not expect to be stuck on a subway for like 5+ hours.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's unfortunate for Julie. This is what happens when you go passive aggressive. Sometimes you get stuck on a subway car for all these hours, and
yeah.
you're forced to deal with it. But then we're going to come back to that. But for now, we're going to go back to modern. where Ruby and Noel are waiting for Felicity. Felicity's late. We know where Felicity is. We know why she's late, but they don't know. So they're just killing time talking about, Noel brings up his G-Shock watch. Ruby's like, oh, wow, you're a real geek. Noel thinks, oh, she's not into me. This was a mean thing to say. She doesn't like me. She's like, no, no, no. I like that kind of thing. He's like, oh. So basically, she goes into this whole story about guys with smooth hands. She grabs Noel's hand. They're having this tactile moment. She's saying, yeah, way back when, the leaders were the guys with the rougher hands, but somewhere along the way that changed, and the guys with the smoother hands became the real men. Noel's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, guys with smooth hands.
I would just like all of the listeners to know what a pro Melissa is, because for like the last 45 seconds, I just put a giant picture of Magenta and Columbia up for Rocky Horror Picture Show, and she absolutely, as I guess a New Yorker or former New Yorker, pretended that it didn't happen at all and just kept talking
I'm a
about
professional. Like, keep it on point.
Noel's smooth hands.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna leave that up for her to enjoy. And yeah, the whole smooth hands thing, yes, it's an ego boost for Noel. It's like, I'm manly. I don't think it translates. Like I don't think it's so great for today to be talking about like who's a real man and who's not based on basically class. Probably not the best. I mean, I had a bit of a reaction to that, but I feel like I don't know, maybe
You've had a reaction to a couple things that came up around class in this episode.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of, I mean, we'll get into it in the whole like trial. That's basically what I considered it. But like, yeah, I mean, I don't think a lot of this episode aged well.
Yeah.
Even though I really did like it as an episode. But yeah, it certainly was, I feel like I mean, I don't know her that well yet, but I'm beginning to get to know her. And I feel like this is a very Ruby comment.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's like repeating something she heard with like eyes wide, that and she just seems so
Babe
like
in the woods.
enthralled with Noel.
Yeah. She does. I mean, I think this is how I see her. And when in the first was last episode, the first episode we saw her in, I think it was, yeah. She when you were like, what's underneath? She's so nice. What's underneath it? And we were like suspecting all these things that might be underneath. And it's like, well, I don't know that that's the case. I think this is sort of face value.
Well, I was saying she could play those roles well. But my real thoughts were that she was probably just dumb.
Yeah, I just don't know if there's a ton of depth to her. I don't know that I think she's dumb. I think there's not a lot of depth to her. And I don't know that they make a lot of effort to give her a lot of depth. They're going to give her a whole plot line that gives her depth, but does she as a person, have it? I don't know. I mean, you see the conversations she's having with Noel in this episode, and it's like, what was the depth conversation? If we're thinking about this episode being called The Depths, how did she contribute to that theme? I'm not sure. Was it the conversation about Zap glue? Like I'm not sure that she has a lot of layers as a person that they're showing to us. They're gonna, like I said, they're gonna give us layers in her story, but it doesn't feel like that's coming from within her.
So I'm calling her dumb and you're calling her shallow.
But I also don't think
I don't
shallow
dislike
almost
her.
has a connotation of like, does shallow have a connotation of like I'm looking in the mirror? Is there a vanity component to it, or have I conflated those two things and shouldn't?
I mean, I think it's sometimes they are put together. A lot of the time they're put together
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like, what do you value? Well, I value looks. But when you think about Ruby, what is she talking about towards the end? She's like, he's a hottie. Like, it's all about the looks.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
So,
so maybe I am saying that. I mean, I think for me, it's less about her being dumb as much as it's about like she just doesn't give us a lot. She doesn't have a ton of analytical thought that she's digging through on a day-to-day basis, and you don't have to, but this is all we know about her right now. So she's just kind of like we're here to talk about something that has some fluff to it. Um,
and she seems happy enough. So, like, who are we to judge?
yeah, right. I mean, maybe that's why she seems happy enough.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, we head back to the subway where it's not a happy situation.
No, no.
Felicity is trying to figure out whether Julie is passive aggressive or aggressive aggressive, which I liked to the distinction there because.
Well, and that that was what we had talked about with Noel, I think,
Mhm.
earlier. We're like, is he passive aggressive or is he aggressive aggressive?
Yeah,
Um, and I don't know. I think Julie was trying to work this out. She was trying to work out her feelings. I think the passive aggressive part was calling the song Felicity.
yeah, yeah.
That I
That was a
do
big
think
move.
goes over the line.
And knowing that she was singing it in Epstein Bar where everybody that they know goes. So Felicity was a
But
known entity at that place.
yeah,
Felicity could have been there herself. Felicity's friends live over it. It's like a big choice that she's
it is.
pretending is a non-choice,
I
and
don't
it's
think she's
not.
pretending. I think she feels fully 100% justified
Mhm.
in doing exactly what she's doing.
Yeah.
She is so pissed and she is so like in her feels that like she just can't see Felicity's side of it. She feels betrayed and basically it's kind of all about Julie for Julie right now, right?
Mhm.
It's like, I'm mad at you. I'm fully justified in being mad at you. And it doesn't matter what I do. I want nothing to do with you.
Mhm.
So I don't care what you think.
Mhm.
Um, and again, did not expect to be stuck for 5+ hours confronting this.
I think did it ended up being 5? I think it was 3.5 last time I noticed. It was a long time
At this
regardless.
point or total? I meant total.
Yeah, later on, the last time I remember seeing a caption, it said 3.5 hours, which isn't yet. Um,
Oh,
it's still
I
quite a
thought I
long
had seen
time,
five
regardless.
something at the end.
Could have been. I might have missed that.
But
Um,
regardless, a
but
long
we
time.
are back in the subway. There's speculation starting to happen now. Did the subway hit someone? Somebody posits that theory. Um, then there's this whole conversation around sure could have been. There are mole people who live underground. That's like what?
Yeah,
And then we get
enjoyed it.
we
I
get the
enjoyed
one
this
moment
section.
with the guy, the micro entrepreneur guy who
Yeah,
um that I don't know what show
I
tone this
love it. I
was.
loved it so much.
There was this moment where he starts walking away and he turns around and
Yeah.
he goes, it ain't right underneath this city. And then the camera pan like zooms all the way into his face at a slightly upward angle. And it's like, it just ain't right. And I was like, what show did this become for
Oh my
four
God. And I
seconds?
wrote down the the earlier line that he says right before that, which is, he says there's mole people and he looks around the car and says, what you call darkness, they call home.
Yeah, it was like what type of movie did that come from? It was like an action flick. that he was
I
acting in an action flick and everybody else was acting in something completely different, but that had been written in. It wasn't his choices. These were camera angles and like, this wasn't this actor making this call. It was like, this guy's in an action movie and everybody else is in something different, like a crime drama.
well, I mean, I got at certain points again like Walking Dead vibes. I was like,
Mm,
we for those who have watched it, we've seen this scene.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's I don't know. I enjoyed the mole people. I mean, there really wasn't another theory put out, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Like
pretty
it's like
much,
we hit somebody. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, look, I don't know about you. I've been on the metro a couple of times when someone's been hit.
Mm,
Like, it happens.
yeah.
Um,
I don't know how they
so
would gather
yeah,
that information though, because it didn't seem like anybody except for the
he
guy. The
walked
guy,
up, probably walked up to the first car. I
yeah,
mean, that guy is
he did
on the
seem like he
train
was
all the
moving.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he knows all the conductors. Otherwise, they'd be chasing him off.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, the only speculation seemed to be like who they hit, why, you know, did someone mean to jump? Like what happened? And then we got real dark with it.
yeah,
And
that's pretty much
then
it. Just
then
staying right
the
underneath the city.
the a whole discussion about mole people.
That's that's where it started. We haven't seen him yet, but they talked about him. They set it up for us. And now we're
Yeah,
gonna go to a completely different vibe altogether. We're gonna go back to Dean and DeLuca.
we are. And here we finally get the name.
Oh my God, I love this so much. This whole
Smoothies.
conversation between Sean and Ben, their comedic
So good.
timing nailed it. They've got, it's
So good.
ironed out. They know exactly what they're doing with each other as actors. Sean is thinking of the name Smoothies, but upon Ben's not loving it reaction at first, Sean shares the other names he's been workshopping.
The first one is my favorite.
Which one was it?
Fat, fatastic.
Fat Tastic.
Oh, fantastic.
And then Ben goes, Fat Tastic? With the most incredulous, like, there's no way that's something you wrote in your book. Um, here's the list,
Oh, yeah.
with some of them getting equally incredulous rejections from Ben. So he says, Fat Tastic, Must Ooze,
Oh, yes.
Lard Spread, Wasabi Goose,
Yeah, I don't.
Spisorio, and Zestrika, which I actually think that was probably the best one.
Really, I think that sounds like a feminine hygiene
Okay. Oh,
spread.
well, there you go. That's why you got to workshop these.
Hmm.
So, when Sean's done running through the whole list, Ben's like, well, yeah, I guess smoothies is the best.
Yep.
So it's going to be smoothies now forever. That's it.
Oh, my goodness.
It happened. They've decided on the name of this thing, and I guess smoothies is better than fat tastic. What a name! What a great one to
Well,
start with.
I also enjoy lard spread because, frankly, that's just lard. That's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's already spreadable.
Yeah, he hasn't invented that really.
No,
Wasabi goose. Yeah,
I know. I feel like there are different things in different versions of this because lard spread has nothing to do with wasabi.
yeah. So if we're trying to think about what the ingredients are here,
Yeah.
it includes
Spicerio
probably some
is
sort of
like,
lard, some sort of mustard. Paprika is what I'm thinking when I hear zestrika, but I also think of lemons.
oh, see, I think of,
Wasabi,
yeah, definitely wasabi.
and then smoothies implies mayonnaise.
Right. But I think of Spicerio as having a very unfortunate Mexican, bent. So jalapenos
Hmm.
probably are in there.
So I'm not sure how all of these are under the same like
And
consideration.
it's definitely maroon, as we
Hmm.
saw from the bowl, which could be the paprika
Could be
if
paprika.
you use enough of it.
Yeah. There's going to be an episode later where somebody tastes it and they're like picking like little bits of like a flecks of something out of their mouth. And I don't know what that is. They're like
Maybe
almost like
chili
they found
flakes.
something, like there's like a flake of something that they're having to
Yeah.
chew when they don't want to be. And it's like, I don't know what is in this concoction or why all of these names are possible names. Because if all these things are ingredients, Sean, um, wow.
I mean, he's not a chef. I mean,
No, he's
he's
not.
not,
And
he's a,
unfortunately, a
yeah,
chef or a caterer now does walk up
yes.
and
And
witnesses all this.
I just wrote the bitches back.
Yeah.
Um,
She needs 75 cookies now. Rawr.
yes, 25 of each of these kinds. And can he please just make it happen? I think it was chocolate chip, oatmeal raisin, and cinnamon sugar. She wants 25 of each. She needs 75. And if he could just make that happen like right now, you know, that would be great because she's got a schedule.
And she definitely finds him sitting down talking to a friend who is not in Dean and DeLuca attire. So
Yeah.
yeah, Ben makes a point to say, okay, I'm on my break. You know, like he's like happy to deal with your crisis, except let's acknowledge that I'm on my break and you're interrupting me. And he is being polite-ish and also pushing back. You know, he's like trying to walk that line between getting fired by Javier and like also stop it, stop being like this. Um,
I
and
feel
frankly,
like
there
he doesn't
probably were
walk
people.
that line well.
Okay, fair enough. But realistically, there were probably people behind the counter or at the register also working that shift who she could have approached. And instead, she's like, oh, this is the guy I bothered before.
Right. Well,
I'm going
he's
to bother
also
him
probably
again.
closer.
Mm-hmm.
And she's on a schedule.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is not kidding around. I mean, he gives it back to her. He's like, look, you know, you're crazy, you're freaking out, fine. Like, I'm happy to help you with your little cookie thing, but
But treat me
be
like a
polite.
human.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm happy to help people as long as they're polite about it. And like, I'm on my break. Um, you know, hi, Maggie, since I
Yeah.
saw that on your credit card when you shoved it in my face earlier.
Yeah. And
I'm
I think him
Ben.
saying that
I'm a human.
yeah, I think him saying that he's on his break isn't him trying to say, I'm not going to help you. It's him saying, look, I'm on a break. So if you're going to interrupt me, be nice about it. You know,
Well,
like,
I don't even think it was about the break because the break doesn't come up till like halfway through what he's saying.
yeah, he's
I
just
mean,
tired
it's
of
sort
her
of an
pushing him
add-on
around.
at the end.
Yeah.
He's kind of, I mean, his basic point is you're rude.
Hmm.
And I don't really like, I'm happy to help people if they're not totally rude and bitchy,
Yeah.
but you are. So I'm not that happy to help you.
Yeah.
And I didn't think he was gonna help her if she didn't do something about it. And
Yeah. Yeah.
she,
He held his ground pretty well. And I think,
yeah,
you know, that point around, I am a human. My name is Ben. Hey, this is my buddy Sean that I'm on a break with right now. I
yeah.
happen to know that you are Maggie, not because you introduced yourself, because you shoved your business card in or your credit card in my face. So I think he's like really positioned it like be a human starting now.
Well, I don't even know that he expected that. I think he was just like, he just had it. He
Yeah.
just had it. He was like, I don't even care if I get fired. Like,
Hmm.
I'm not putting up with you.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he had any expectations about what was going to happen next, but she was into it.
Hmm.
She
She
was like,
was like, ooh, a man who can stand up to me. Look at this guy.
yeah,
Ooh, you definitely saw the look. Like Terry Polo definitely executed the look that I think they
She's
were
such
asking
a
her
good
to do.
actress.
They were
She's
like,
so good.
him doing this gets your attention in a way that kind
Yeah.
of turns you on. And
Yeah.
like, message received. You know, like, I felt like she did a really effective job at just like transitioning from total freak out mode to who's this guy?
Yeah. It was like he snapped her out of it. And I think two things happened there. One, I think she liked, you know, being told off a bit. And
Mm-hmm.
I also think she looked at him because before she was looking at her phone, she was looking at something, she was throwing the card in it. Like she didn't look at him.
Mm-hmm.
And then in this moment, she turns and she looks at him and is probably like, damn,
Mm-hmm.
like, look at this guy. And so then she sits down and is very coy,
Mm-hmm.
is very, polite, in asking for her 75 cookies. And Ben, to me at that moment, like he had checked her out earlier. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's admit, like he was looking out the window at her.
Mm-hmm.
And even when she came in the first time, he was a little amused. But by this second time, when he's going to like check on the cookies, I don't feel like he is interested anymore. She's just like, he's like, I'm gonna be a good guy. I'm gonna go do this. Fine. But now she's the one who's gonna be coming up on the perhaps rough-handed former manly man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
The
Yeah.
the leader of the what were they called? Oh, blanking on things.
Hmm. The
Neo,
leader of the pack, vroom vroom.
close. No, the ones who club
Cavemen?
women over there. Yeah, basically, but it's like
Okay.
neo lights, neo.
All right. I'm not prepared to give you a word for that, but I, if you know, that's okay. Sometimes we just have to let it go and accept that.
People know what I'm talking about.
In the last week, I
People
was having
before
a
people.
conversation with somebody on an evening, and then I was like, "Oh, what is the thing I'm thinking of? What's the show? What's the?" And 12 hours later, I remembered.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where I'm at nowadays. That was a real hard look at my aging process.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
it's
Yeah,
okay. That's what's
it's
happening.
what happens. It's what happens.
Can I just tell you a cafe related story that has actually nothing to do with this, but is just like the what happens when you have power as a worker in a cafe? Um,
Absolutely.
so at the school that we went to, I up until my senior year, I always had work study jobs, including my senior year. But up until senior year, they were generally in food service because that's where the bulk of the work study jobs were. And there were all different kinds of food service jobs. I did things like food meal prep in our biggest cafeteria, but the best job I had in food prep or in food service was working at this one cafe that was in sort of like our main quad area. And a lot of faculty would come in during the day and some students as well, but it was kind of like a more posh place to be, and it was fun. And I loved the people that I worked with there. And it was usually like me and maybe one person who worked full time and another person doing a work study job. And we had all these fun little like flavors of muffins. And there was one called the orange blossom muffin that a lot of people really enjoyed. And then one day I realized we didn't have orange blossom muffins. And I asked one of the people working, what happened to the orange blossom muffins? And she said to me, oh, we're not going to have them anymore. I think the company doesn't make them. They're not sending them to us. It's like, oh, that's unfortunate. All right. Well, now I considered myself armed to be able to explain this to customers. So some weeks later, there's a person who came up who obviously had been missing her orange blossom muffins. And she came up, she's like, can I have an orange blossom muffin? Like just giving it another shot. And I said to her, I'm so sorry. we don't have orange blossom muffins. In fact, we're never going to have orange blossom muffins again. The company
Oh.
doesn't make them anymore. We're not going to have them anymore. I know you like it, but maybe find a new favorite muffin. And then she's like, oh my God. And she got something else, like a lemon poppy seed muffin. And then she walked away. And wouldn't you know, later in the day, as I'm looking down at the muffins, like, as you know, it's a quiet moment. We don't have people online. I just casually rest my eyes on all the muffins. And there's a whole bin of orange blossom muffins.
What?
That I just hadn't noticed. And because I had this story in my head that we were never going to have them again, I was blocking it out of my brain. And I convinced her, even though she was looking at a whole bin of orange blossom muffins, she walked away with like a lemon poppy seed muffin because I had magic tricked her out of thinking that we carried the very muffin that was she could see. It was right there. And I thought, wow, something about this, you just never know. The customer is always right, except in situations where you accidentally just convince them of something else. In my situation, look, this has nothing to do with this plot. I don't know why this story is coming up for me, but it is. And I'm just telling you that in that situation, I convinced somebody that we were not carrying something that was plainly in front of their eyes. And in this episode, Ben snaps Maggie out of her entire personality.
Yeah. Yep. Those two things are not at all related.
They're not at all related, but do you like that I tried to make a connection?
I do. Yeah. That was a valiant effort, and it gave me time to come up with the word Neanderthal.
Oh, yes.
There we go.
Okay, guys, look, everything is right with the world. I hope you enjoyed this 40-minute diversion from the plot of this episode. No, it wasn't 40 minutes, but we, sometimes we just need to talk and then we get back to it.
We're not done yet, so it might end up being 40 minutes.
Could be. Well, shall we go back to the subway car?
I think we should, because this is the second time in this episode that Felicity apologizes. First she apologizes, but in the same breath calls Julie like passive aggressive and aggressive, and so I feel like that's not really an apology. And this time she apologizes again, and Julie's just like, what are you sorry about? Like, give me more information. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I'm sorry that I hurt you. And Julie just looks at her and says, would you do it again if you could? And Felicity clearly would. And so Julie's still pissed. She's like, look, we're not doing this. Like, we're not going to get past this and be friends if you don't think you've done anything wrong. Mm-hmm. You didn't do the right thing. And that's what it is. And Felicity is saying, look, had you guys been dating, and the right thing isn't always very clear. And the two of them are going from the feels to the intellectual arguments, back and forth and just shut up.
Yes. One of the guys sitting next to them has had enough.
Yeah, I had too. I was on board with this guy.
Okay. Yeah. You seem like you were really supporting him stepping in here.
I very much was.
This guy, as we are about to learn, a little bit more about a lot of the people on this subway car, this particular guy, he was on his way to get a loan for his family so they can eat. So he's looking at these two like, you don't have problems. But why are you the loudest people in my ears right now?
Yeah. He says, and I wrote this down in the way I did because I feel like this, again, maybe didn't age so well. But what we're looking at is a bit of a cross section of, I guess, New York and wherever the pill guy is from.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got what seems to be a white male who's getting hysterical. We
Mm-hmm.
have a middle-aged black guy. We have a, you know, white woman, a black woman, a Jewish guy. Let's just admit, I mean, there's a lot of stereotypes going on here.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Feeling
black
it.
guy can't feed his family. I don't know why he's getting a loan, because I'm just saying, like, there are a lot of programs out there, especially national, like from SNAP all the way down to, um, you know, state of New York stuff. So I'm just,
I think he was consolidating the words around what his problem was and what
yeah,
his next steps were because that he was the focus of this episode. So I think him interjecting there wasn't meant to be like, well, that, the dots don't line up all the way here. I feel like we're skipping some things with him. We were. And
yeah,
it was more about him saying, I've got problems, you don't.
yeah. Like
And like,
yours are, as he says, like luxury items.
yeah,
And then this white woman, oh my God, she says, I understand. I saw Rent.
yeah, oops.
Oh my God.
Oof. And then an older woman is like, broken hearts are problems.
Yeah,
So we're getting
the
a
older black
real
woman,
mhm.
as I've just, look, it's how they meant to portray them,
Mhm.
so it's how I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, she's like, broken heart can be just as bad as a broken rib.
Mhm. Yeah. And then the guy on the pill sides with Julie for no apparent reason.
I think it was because of the pills, and I have a couple questions about that. One, where did he get a pill?
Mhm.
And two, can I have one?
Well, I'm assuming that it was like anti-anxiety something or other, and the fact that they were stuck in a subway car at this point for somewhere between 1 hour and 3.5 hours, that he had decided it was a
Or
good time to
five?
take it.
Yeah, he needed to take that pill. And he was not anxious, but he was open with his thoughts. He said, Julie has been betrayed and I'm on her side.
Mhm.
And the black guy was like, nobody gets my sympathy. Like,
Mhm.
you're all just still crazy young white women talking about nothing.
Mhm.
And then the unfortunate portrayal of the Jewish attorney.
Mhm. Judd
Uh,
Berman. He's the
yeah,
only one who gets a full name. In fact, he's the only one who gets a name.
yeah, because he has to say it, you
Yeah.
know? He's like, here's my card. Um, he's like, you know what? We're going to turn this circus into a courtroom. We're going
Mm-hmm.
to take this cross section of New York here and just we're going to create a trial. It is the trial of Felicity and Julie's relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, first up, everything Evan has wanted, play the song.
Mm-hmm. And
And
then
cut to
she
commercial.
pulls the guitar out. We cut to commercial and we come back and you're like, oh, end of the song. People clap.
I know.
And you were
So
like,
upsetting.
no. Yeah.
So upsetting.
Yeah. Certainly done on purpose. We never hear the song, but now everybody who's talking about the song has heard the song across the entire show. So it's one of those, it's kind of a fun reversal of that idea. Sometimes when you've got the dramatic irony where like everybody in the audience knows something that the character doesn't. And this is the reverse. This is every character knows something that the audience doesn't. And it drove you absolutely bananas. So I
It
guess you
did.
don't love that technique.
I don't. And they say, because I think we've both taken some writing courses, um, they say not to do that when you're writing, because whatever perspective you're speaking from as like the narrator, in this case, basically going between third person, no, is it's not really third person omniscient. It's third person within each person's head at whatever time, right,
Mhm.
or experience they're having. That you should never have something that that is from that perspective and then have something that would be unknown that someone should know, given that that is the perspective it's told from. So like
I mean,
Felicity and Julie, we're hearing about all of this kind of from their perspective, from kind of a third person over their head, and like they both have heard the song and we haven't, and they're like,
yeah,
don't
but
do this
I
because
think
it drives
that
people crazy.
yeah, but I think that this kind of thing has been done before and has worked in this show where like Megan's box is a whole thing around that, right? Like we if you don't
I
like the
think there
mystery
are
of Megan's
running
box,
jokes that work, like no one ever meets Norm's wife in Cheers,
yeah,
right?
nobody ever meets Maris, right?
Right.
In
Nobody
Frasier.
ever meets Maris in Frasier, and nobody ever knows what's in Megan's box. But to do it in a single episode, I don't associate this with the box. I don't think it's
Yeah,
a
you want this to be a
joke at
longer
this
running
point.
inside joke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're all bored, and the lawyer's about to start asking questions, and I think he asked some good ones. So,
Yeah, I think his like he goes through some basic establishing questions like, so you're angry with each other, right? Like, it's like some really simple ones, and then he hits Julie with a hard one, which is, so okay, so Julie, don't you live with Ben now? And she's like, yeah. She's like, so why did you forgive Ben but not forgive Felicity? And then we kind of linger on that. Like, I feel like his questions were simple
mhm.
until he hit her with that one. Um, and she doesn't it's something that we just sort of leave her sitting with that, and Felicity's like, yeah, but it's more about like letting that sit with Julie, to think about as we progress into this trial. um, and we actually interrupt the trial here to go back to some other to another scene,
Yeah,
but
I
we'll come
think with
back to
that
it quickly.
question and with the next question in the trial, I think he's also, some of these people are speaking on behalf of the audience
Mm-hmm.
because these are some of the things we've been thinking,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's nice.
Yeah.
I apologize for this next scene, just in general. I'm sorry. Do you not want to talk about it? We can just not talk about it.
We'll gloss over it.
Yeah, we'll just say, look, Ruby, still doe-eyed, still likes Noel. For some reason, him being disgusting doesn't completely turn her off. It makes her think he's hot. And let's move on.
Yeah, his story, for those of you who are wondering why we're moving on, is Noel grossing her out with a story about him and one other guy projectile vomiting after trying to have an eating contest.
Yeah.
This is not funny.
I think this episode's going to get dinged.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, let's go back underground.
Yes. Let's go back to the mole people.
Yeah. So at this point, we get a caption that comes up on the screen that says 3.5 hours underground right here.
Yeah, there's definitely another caption after this.
Okay. So at this moment, we got 3.5 hours in, and it's a free for all. I think we cut into we're the camera shows us the subway underground, and then we hear the sound of all the people arguing before we go into the car.
Yeah.
So you can see this has become somewhere along the way. This has become a widely, openly discussed debate among everybody who's on this particular subway car.
Yeah. I mean, they're bored.
And so the guy, the micro entrepreneur guy,
Yep.
asks a question nobody should be asking at this point. He's like, wait, who's Ben again? And everybody's like, oh my God, this guy. I had a kid, they're in high school, who was like this. I'm not going to name him, but any class that he was in, and I don't even want to laugh at this because I don't know what was happening with him, but any class that I had with him, whatever we were talking about for 40 minutes no matter what the subject matter was. Like it makes sense in a class. You start with, the simple, here's what we're going to discuss today, introducing like the simple point around it. And then you get more complex with that idea as the class goes on.
Mm-hmm.
That's the normal flow of things. And inevitably, within the last 5 minutes, he would raise his hand and very genuinely ask like the most simple question you could ask. Like, we would be talking about something in algebra and he'd be like, what's algebra? It was like, it was like the very thing they started with. And then you built from there for the rest of the class. He'd go back to like the first 2 minutes of what was said and have a question about the root of it. And then it happened every single time. And on the one hand, it sounds funny. And on the other hand, it was like, what is happening with this guy? Is he in the right classes? And inevitably, the teachers would be ripping their hair out because it was like, so he's gotten nothing from the last 38 minutes of this class. Mm-hmm. And nobody else has this question. Like, it was just like, what can I do for this boy? And I think about him sometimes, whatever became of him. He just had a way of boiling it down to its simplest form and not understanding it at the end of a long discussion about that topic. And it's exactly like this guy who's now been privy to, I don't know how many hours at this point have elapsed.
About 3.5, right?
Yeah, somewhere between 1 hour and 3.5 hours.
2.5 hours of it.
Let's say 2.5 hours of them talking about this triangle. There's only one other person in the triangle that really matters here. I mean, Noel might have been brought up somewhere along the way, but like, if you're wondering who's involved, and after all this time, you're still like, who's Ben? This guy.
I mean, look, he had other stuff to focus on. He was selling watches and harmonicas and everything. Like, he had to do all the calculations for the sale to let everybody know there was the standing still, we're not going anywhere sale. 20% off everything. He's hustling, he's working. He didn't have time for this.
So something that I like about most of the people who are interjecting into this trial, or at this point, it's not trial anymore, it's just free for all, is somewhere along the way, probably most audience perspectives hopefully are encapsulated in something somebody is saying. I don't know if that's true for everybody, but I think they were trying to be a voice to as many people as possible in this situation. And there was one guy
they got
I identified with.
Yeah, they got you big time, because I heard that line and I was like, well, Melissa's been saying that from the start.
That one guy said two things. I was like, that's exactly, like, this character is meant to be representing me. And then there might have been...
He is a young Black man.
Yeah. And to be fair, like, there were probably other characters whose viewpoints were reflecting other people's perspectives of the Julie and Felicity dynamic. So it's not to say that because this perked my ears up, this is what everybody took away. But I'm hoping they were trying to call in most of the audience into this argument. And this one guy said two things. I think the first thing he said was, well, it's no surprise Felicity is going to go back to Ben. Like, wasn't she into him to begin with? And I was like, yeah. Yeah. I was just like, let's say it, man, who's not named. You're the most important character in the show right now. He also, and I don't know if it came before or after this, but at the point when Felicity makes a comment like, you were broken up with Ben. And that same guy is like, wait. So what are we talking about here? You were broken up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh boy. But I more so resonated with that earlier thing or the first thing I pointed out that he said, where it was like you said, it's been something that I've been saying, like, Felicity came to school interested in Ben. Julie, I feel, broke a code and going after Ben to begin with. And so, yeah, Felicity also broke this code, but they've both done it now. It's not one-sided. And And so to hear that reflected in this debate was fun for me. But I'm curious, Fish, was there somebody in this group who shared a point of view that you were like, yes, the thing I've been trying to say?
Yeah, I mean, there was this one guy who was like, "Oh, so you had a bunch of
Oh
boyfriends,
boy.
Julie. You're just like a sex toy, huh?" I mean, it's totally a compliment. Like, I like girls like you. And I mean, I know that that is my philosophy on life.
Oh.
Um, I think all women should be treated like that. I hope I've made that very clear. And and that guy is my hero.
Dennis. Uh, Dennis, it was real off-putting. That comment. I was like, wow. I wonder how that was supposed to land.
Probably creepy AF.
Right,
That's my
because but the thing
guess.
is, then they've got so like at first they like made the subway car dead silent for him to say this, and you see Felicity's reaction, which is like, "Did you just say sex toy?" And the thing is, when he's done saying it, because he like you said, he comes back around to, no, I'm not saying that as a judgment. I've dated girls like you. I applaud you, baby. And when he says that, the rest of the guys in the subway car are like, yeah. And I was like, oh man, who what
Yeah,
happened here, J.J.
as
Abrams? You
well,
wrote
no,
this.
I think that actually makes a lot of sense because, right, we always think of Julie as broken, you know? There's something that has happened in
Mm,
her the past life that makes her think it's okay for guys to rape her,
hmm
right? Like she says she's had a lot of boyfriends and Felicity is her first real like best friend who's a girl.
hmm
And I think him interjecting like that was just to sort of underscore the way that she has been treated
mm,
and just the way that having boyfriends like that, you know, traumatize women.
hmm
And Felicity then jumps in with, now hold on, like it's not always like that. Like not only did I not have any friends, I didn't have any boyfriends. So like they're now having an argument over who's the biggest loser. Um,
Yeah, I do think that was I think as gross as Dennis was, I think it did something really interesting in the nature of the conversation after that. Because on the one hand, it sort of put Julie and Felicity kind of on the same side for a second again. Like in a weird way. You know, it
well, as
wasn't
women, they were probably both like, ew.
yeah, so I think, and
And
they were not, there was really no reason at any point before that in this conversation for them to have the same reaction to the same thing.
yeah.
But although Felicity's reaction was a bit more expressive, I think they both were like, hey, 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 hey. And then also the way that Felicity sort of interjects, and I don't know if it might have been standing up for Julie, and it also might have been saying, I'm also a loser. I'm here too. Um, she, it also puts them kind of on the same side to both agree with like, neither of us had actually had a lot of female friendships before our freshman year of college,
Any.
or best friends, or any female friends. So I think we've now, even though it was born out of this gross comment from the series of gross comments from Dennis, we have suddenly found a way for them to be in alignment for a moment.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Do we want to say Dennis's comment was pivotal here? That jerk. I don't
I
know.
hey, I already called him a hero.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you want to laud more praise upon him,
If
feel
we're
free.
attributing the restoring of Julie and Felicity's friendship to Dennis, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
I think he started. I think he sort of blew open a moment here, and then you know the older prophet guy uh,
The guy I call
takes
the
them the rest
judge.
of the way. Yeah, I think it's the same guy that we're thinking of.
Yeah.
He takes it the rest of the way, but I suppose this is the first moment where they were willing to be on in agreement or in alignment on any single thing, or even not even so much in agreement as much as like they just were in alignment on this.
Yeah. I mean, but I guess I think these moments they occur and they help.
Mhm.
Um, but for me, none of them are really pivotal. And I think that's kind of the point of what the judge says.
Mhm.
So we can get kind of into that
Well,
in
they
just a second.
interrupt it here because we need to keep
Well,
segueing between scenes. So there's,
but we still have a couple of things that happen here. So
mhm,
they're arguing over who's the biggest loser.
mhm,
And then the black woman turns to them and says, maybe the train stopped to help you guys come back together. Like, this is the reason behind it all.
mhm. And
And I
somebody else is
can't,
like, tell that to the guy who's dead on the tracks.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Uh,
and there we go. And
yeah.
then my dream came true.
Mhm.
Um, we start to see the mole people
Yes.
who, again, a little bit of a Walking Dead vibe, but they're coming up. They got spiky hair. They got leather on. They're looking real, like mole BDSM chic.
Mhm.
And and what I said was, "Oh God, please let Megan be a mole person."
You said it. I heard it. And once
And
again, the
oh,
show delivered within 5 seconds.
they did. They gave me exactly what I wanted. And not only that, but they gave me extra because she's walking along as the fantastic, I assume mole priestess or princess that she is. And she sees Felicity stuck in this car and she's just disgusted. She just rolls her eyes. She's like, "You loser."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Love it.
like it's like no, you're the weird thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
Well, this
I
is her world.
yeah,
This is where they call home
yeah,
and we call darkness.
uh-huh, yeah.
So,
There you have it. But so let's have a brief moment back with the Maggie and Ben story.
yeah, let's have more apologizing. There's a lot of apologizing in this
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, these next two scenes are actually pretty quick. So this first scene is, Maggie's just like, you know what? I was a jerk. Thanks for calling me out. And Ben's
Yep.
like, we got over it. She's like, we did, and that's awesome. I see you. I really see you. No, she didn't say that, but I felt that that was the underlying emotion.
No, yeah, I agree. She looked up from her phone and was just like smacked in the face with
There he
an
was.
Adonis and was like, "Hey, sorry for being a jerk. Want to come to my party?"
Yeah, she invites him to the party that she's got all these brownies and cookies for because it's her way of formally apologizing.
And trying to get in his pants.
Probably that too. But if we're talking about other people who are trying to get in their pants, we cut to
Well,
Noel and Ruby.
I just want to say on Maggie, I mean, it's clear that she's a lot older than him,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, so
So, what do you
she's
think about
definitely,
Maggie? What do you, knowing that you think that she's a lot older than Ben, what do you think that means for
um,
where the story might be headed?
well, I think it also comes in towards the end when we see what the party looks like. I mean, she's just more sophisticated and frankly, I think more intellectual than him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, but I love her so much as an actress. It
Mm-hmm.
makes it really hard for me to dislike her.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to see more if I'm gonna dislike her because I'm kind of like, cool, like go for it. you know what? You're beautiful people. Like, go be beautiful together.
I think that without, for your sake, spoiling, um, without spoiling things, it's not that Maggie is in the show forever, but I think that they gave her a lot of depth in a way that they didn't give Ruby. And, of the stuff that we
Makes
will
sense.
see from her, I don't think, like, you could have an opinion on what you think about her character. And then I think they give you enough information to fill out what's happening for her that it's not just like so easy to judge her. I really think that they did. Contrasting her to Ruby is an interesting thing for me to think about because she just, it's like one tone to Ruby and so many to Maggie, even if you compare each of their first episodes. So I don't know. I think it's interesting to see them both in this episode and like back to back scenes so often because it's like, who is Ruby? Ruby doesn't know who Ruby is. And maybe because Maggie's older, Maggie knows who she is. And that comes across to me.
Yeah, as I said, I think it's part of her, even like the outfits that she wears,
Mhm.
the way she carries herself. I mean, I just feel like she's very sophisticated, very put together. Um,
Susan level of put together.
yeah. I mean,
Oh,
like, I think she is, I think her outfits top Susan's outfit.
oh.
I don't know about the makeup,
Okay.
but and again, it's hard to judge from this one episode, and just because I mean she's so talented, she's been in so many other things where I just loved her role,
Mhm.
and it's very hard for me to separate them.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel like she's similar. Like even though she went from like Frasier to Meet the Fockers to like The West Wing, she actually wasn't quite in that order. Well, it may have been in that order with the first movie. Um,
I
she
mean, let's
always
not
has,
forget her experience in some 80s movies that I'm trying to figure out which movie I saw her in somewhat recently. That blew my mind. Go IMDb this as you're talking about the wonderful
yeah, I mean,
qualities of Terry Polo.
she always has this way of carrying herself that makes you think she's classy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, I can't really root against her. I mean, do I think she and Ben are, long term? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm certainly along for the ride. Um,
Mystery Date. That was actually 91. Oh,
Mystery Date.
Mystery Date. It feels like a movie that was pulled from the 80s, but it was actually early 90s.
91. Close enough.
Yeah, 91. Oh my, Terry Polo. Well, yeah, there she is. She's invited Ben to a party. There.
She has.
Yeah.
And so you were about to say two other people looking to get in each other's pants.
Yeah, Noel and Ruby. They're at probably his apartment now.
Sure.
And he's telling her about After Effects, some sort of computer program. She's like, oh yes, geek. But then she's like, but have I told you? And then he's telling her about 3D models.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, but have you heard about Zap Glue? And they go into this whole like,
Metaphor for their lips.
yeah, yeah. It's strange foreplay, but it's foreplay nonetheless, where they're talking about Zap Glue, and he's like, "Tell me what you love about Zap Glue," and she's like, "I'll tell you what I love about Zap Glue. It's a two-part glue." It's like, all right, fine, all right. And it ends in a kiss because they're leaning in to hear more about the Zap Glue, but it's not about the Zap Glue. Is the
No, it's
thing.
not. No, it was never about the Zap glue.
Never about the Zap glue, the two-part glue. Um,
Whatever that
I
means.
don't know what it means. Does it mean you have to put the glue on both things in order for it to stick? Because if so, is that great or not?
I mean, we didn't get a full explanation, but it seemed like you were supposed to coat both of them with one half of the glue,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's another half that you just put one dot on, and maybe that's what creates the adhesion. So,
Ruby, explain to me how this is better or different from contact cement, and then we can talk. Okay.
or just regular glue. Just use regular glue.
That's fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
But
nose
that look, we're
again.
we're missing. Obviously, this foreplay wouldn't have worked on us
No,
because we're just not in this room. But the it's
we
working for
don't
Noel.
have smooth enough hands to maybe appreciate Zap glue.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, but Noel, he's thirsty again. He's ready for that kiss. And what is up with him and kissing girls and then immediately falling on the ground? Because this is the second time we've seen this move,
Yeah.
which seems like it's not a great move.
Yeah. Especially when you break a model. But it's I don't know. He's assertive.
Or
He really
just
is.
like not good at balancing.
Yeah,
I
it's like it's like, within 2 seconds of the kiss, he's like, "We're doing this," and he just like goes for it. It's a lot with him.
But she's
Um,
okay with it. I mean,
she's
the
fine with
whole
it.
thing is very weird. I mean, I wrote first kiss is okay, but weird.
I mean, hey, we've really given ourselves a day in the life of this new couple, and it's
Yeah.
this is
You
their
know,
relationship.
look, there she's into it.
Hmm.
And he's into it for all the times that she has now insulted him. And I
Hmm.
kind of put earlier on, I think I missed it. I put it somewhere in my notes, like, is Ruby the nice Megan? Like, she says what she thinks, even if it's really insulting, but she doesn't mean for it to be insulting. She's just trying to be nice.
Yeah, it's kind of everything she says is with this like la 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 sort of in her eyes,
Yeah.
and so it's hard to be angry with her because it's like, well, but she was saying la 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 behind it, so it's fine.
And
Yeah,
she's a hot blonde, so really, what do you complain about?
not much you can complain about in this situation.
Apparently.
So they're making out about Zaplu, or prompted by Zaplu, or over Zaplu, or they need Zaplu because they broke the model. Um, you know, that's how it is.
It is.
Back to the subway car.
Yes, we finally are getting to the judge,
Yeah.
and he is going to just lay it out there. He's going to give everyone some thoughts. I would say I I agree and disagree with different parts of what he says, but I
But
know
you
you
know
went
it's
back to
important.
watch it again.
Yeah, you know it's important
So,
because he said zero things up until this point.
yeah.
We are I arguably 3.5 to 5 hours into this, and he's said nothing. He's been staring straight forward, pretty much not acknowledging anybody on the subway car, which takes significant discipline to be that New Yorker. Um, and now, after all these shenanigans, after hours of people just having this free for all of discussing this Julie and Felicity drama, he's finally gonna say his thing. And because it's so strange for him to be talking, everybody shuts up and listens to him, and it's like a pin could drop on the subway car. And he says the thing that you figure is like the point the writers are trying to make in the show, speaking through him. He's the oldest man on the car, right? I would think. He had a friend for 63 years that he's thinking about. So he's probably the oldest um, the oldest person on, I can't think of even any other women on the car who are older than him. So he's coming at it with like I'm going to give you the
The wisdom.
the wisdom of my experience.
Hmm.
And he comes in with this totally new angle that rocks Julie and Felicity and kind of everybody, which I guess starts from this kernel of like, neither of us had female friends before this. And then they had thought they were best friends. And he's like, wrong. He gets up and he's just like, you're wrong.
Hmm.
Both of you about everything. Everything you're saying is wrong. But what he actually says is, you two weren't best friends to begin with. You make, best friends in a year. Best friends become over time, is his point. And he's thinking about his best friend who I think isn't around anymore, but they were friends for 63 years. They were in the minors together. They fought a war together. He's like, that's what a best friend looks like. Uh, this thing that you had, like, how deep did your friendship actually go?
Yeah. You met when you were lonely and desperate. You shared a few things. You start calling it best, but you didn't earn the title
Mm-hmm.
because it's only as valuable as what you put in. And I think his overall point is you can't judge yet.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what you do next.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think either he or Creepy Dennis are pivotal, because it's up to them. He's like, you got two ways to go here.
Mm-hmm.
You can come through, you can become the friends you thought you were, or you can become memories and fade into nothing.
Yeah.
And it's up to you. And then he just
And
walks
I
away.
think that to me is like that last thing that you said and the thing that he said is the most important thing to me of what he says, because honestly, I think it's just not everybody is going to get the luxury of being able to say at the end of, like, nearing the end of their lives, I was best friends with this person for 63 years. At what point did he start thinking of that person as his best friend? I don't think you have to have a full 63 years of war and minors invested in it. Not everybody's going to have that story. Not everybody has that long of life. And that doesn't mean you can't have a best friend. So I think I see his point that it takes experiences and it takes time. And maybe he's right that they hadn't been through trials yet together that may have helped them earn their best friend's stripes. But to me, that line that you just said, where he's like, you've got two options from here. Screw what happened in the past. Two options. You either move forward to become the friends you thought you were, or you become memories. What do you want? And like, because circling around this train forever is going to produce nothing. So,
Mhm.
like, I think that point from him is the challenge of the show to these two people of saying, what are you going to do now?
Yeah, and I agree with that. The part that I have an issue with
Right.
is that the word best is relative,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not absolute. So
Yeah.
like, if this is not going to be the greatest example, but like, if you have to eat dog food,
Okay.
right? There is going to be a best brand.
Mm-hmm.
None of them are going to be good,
Okay.
but there still will be a best one. So if you have no female friends and then all of a sudden you have one, they are both your best and worst female friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just how language works.
Yeah.
So I think what he's talking about here, and I'm just translating it from the word best, is love between friends.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he's saying, look, yeah, you've been through a couple of things, but implied in the term best friends is love.
Mm-hmm.
And you haven't earned that yet. You need to see what happens. It doesn't happen on any kind of short time frame. And that I agree with. I'm not one of those people that believes in love at first sight. Big
Neither am I.
surprise there. Um, and but I do think I'm also not someone who thinks there's only one person out there for everyone. I think love is something that, um, whether it's romantic or between friends or, however you're experiencing it, it's something that does require work,
Mhm.
and it requires choice. You have to say having a relationship with this person is worth it, and I'm willing to put in the work.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what he's saying here. And
Yeah.
so I don't see this as the pivotal point bringing them together. I
Mhm.
do see this as the pivotal point of kind of shaking them and saying, you have agency in this.
Mhm.
You don't want to be friends? Fine, but this is the result.
Yeah. And I think I'm debating, but I think I'll just mention my note from an optimist here, although I could just as easily mention at the very end, where it's really just a finer point on this. You get to decide if a relationship is important to you. So, and I think that is optimistic, because if you are in nothing is smooth 100% of the time, and there will be challenges, there might be things that you argue about with anybody. But I think that it is ultimately within your power to make a decision if you want that person to still be in your life and if you want that relationship to continue. And there is agency there. And it's what we're calling upon Felicity and Julie to do here, but we all have the ability to do that, of sitting down and saying, this person that I'm agonizing over where we are right now, is it better if they're in my life or better if they're not in my life? And the agency of that, I think, can really boil it down to its simplest form of, like, is my life in some way enhanced by this person? Is this thing that we're dealing with something we can get through to get to a better place, or not? And I like that they put the agency back on these characters, and I like that we have that in our own lives, or that we can if we want to.
Yep.
And to be fair, like, the answer to that question isn't always easily implemented. Like, if you said it's better off if this person isn't in my life, but you have a lot of things that are attached, then it's
Like
complicated to unwrite.
Noel.
Yeah. Like,
Like Noel and Felicity.
or
He
people
really
who are
did try.
co-parenting in real life, like, that's really complicated. Or, like, if you decide you want to be together, there might be complications there too. But you still aren't passive in this situation. Like, you can make choices, even if they aren't always easy choices, you can still make them. And I like that we have that.
Yeah, and something that doesn't always come through, I think, from Felicity, um, I think you also do need to be respectful of the fact that it's not just your choice. The other
Mm-hmm.
person has to choose you back.
Yeah.
So, in the case of Noel, I mean, Felicity went pretty far in harassing him,
Mm-hmm.
but it worked. So eventually, he did come around. Julie, I don't think she's gone quite as far, since most of the time it seems like she reached out a lot, didn't hear anything back, and now she's just kind of pissed. And, you know, sure, she wants everything to go back to normal, but in the same breath, she's not going to get pushed around by Julie because of her decisions.
Do you think that, I mean, this whole episode happens because they're stuck in a subway car. Do you think that that very first interaction, or one of the first interactions, where Felicity and Julie were on the subway before it was stopped, and Felicity says, hey, I stopped by, did you get the message? And Julie's like, yep, wasn't gonna do anything about it. And Felicity can see how Julie's being with her. Do you think that she would have, because at that moment she says, the only comfort to me is knowing that we've got 4 stops before I'm no longer on the subway with her. And do you think if this ride had continued smoothly, what do you think would have happened from there?
Well, I definitely don't think they would have gotten anywhere close to reconciling this episode. I think that there are things that happen that force people to come together, and you really get to find out. You get to either sort through your feelings, you get to find out how people really feel about you. And I would
Mm-hmm.
say that funerals are some of the biggest things.
Mm-hmm.
So, like if you have estranged siblings and stuff like that, and a parent dies or a grandparent dies or something like that, like people are brought together at funerals. Weddings are another thing. Weddings are a little more complicated because um, different people have certain influences upon the bride and groom and who they invite, and that
Mm-hmm.
actually can end up causing more problems.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but funerals, like you can't blame the person. They're gone,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, eh, you know, I think it's also very hard to throw someone out of a funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's just one of those things where people are in pain, they're coming together, and either they just really want to see you in pain and they don't care, or you find some like common ground, you have some time to talk. And I feel like without something like happening, like they could have done this another way. Like Sean could have gotten hit by a car.
Mm-hmm.
I think anything around Ben would be very tricky. I think Felicity starting to date Ben again would not help with that
Mm-hmm.
relationship with Julie. I think Julie would probably move out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I feel like there would have to be some sort of like medical emergency, or they're stuck together in this car for some reason. Like we'll see this on other shows. I've never actually tried this in real life, although I think it'd be funny to do, where friends of two people who are fighting, they just lock them in a room together until they resolve it. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what happened here.
Yeah.
It's like you force these people to be together until they figure the shit out.
Yeah. I think inherently I don't buy this premise. So in the same way that you felt maybe in a similar way, but not as harsh as you felt about the magic bringing things together last season, where
I felt pretty harsh about that.
yeah, I feel a
I'm not gonna lie.
little less harsh about this, but it falls into the same bucket for me as you felt about that, where I'm like, I feel like give me something else. Like, I don't know, was there something you could do with Carol where Julie would need a friend? Um, I think Zach
I
is
think
too
it's
much of
very
a
hard. It's very hard. I think it would be very hard to be the one in need. I feel like something would have to happen to Felicity that is somehow connected to Julie,
Mhm,
where Julie sees Felicity really needing someone and she
mhm,
ends up reaching out. Or again, I don't, I mean, come on, I'm not going to buy this. Like, we have a cross section of New York City, like old, young, male, female, black, white, Hispanic, like, and they're going to judge you, and then all of a sudden you're going to be friends again. Sure.
yeah, I
Don't buy
think
that.
this feels like this show went into fantasy realm, and I don't.
I mean, there were mole people.
Yeah, I didn't need that here. I think they could have done it other ways. I think that this was a fun way to do the story. I think that this was a very comedic episode, and then they tried to tackle a really tense relationship within that. But it's not. It's not. I don't love that they used the device that they did. It wasn't that effective for me when I think about like what it might really be like in that subway. And it's very convenient. And yeah,
Yeah, I can tell you it does not take 5+ hours or even 3+ hours, like, to get someone off the tracks. Like, if that is
because
what happened,
because no subway can move. Like everybody's locked down.
yeah.
And it's just not a thing. But anyway, after all of this, the subway starts
Well,
moving
yeah,
again after this guy Mike drops and says
yeah.
this important thing. The subway starts moving again, so their time locked down is up. But gosh,
But I still buy that, like, putting two people in a room together sometimes can work, or having them, like, just forcing them to spend time together over and over again, that eventually, I think whatever the true feelings are, eventually will come through.
yeah, I
So
buy
it
the
might make
premise
them
of
hate each
that,
other.
and I just don't know that I like the way they did this
Yeah,
in the
and that's fair.
circumstances they created.
Yeah,
Um,
because I also agree. This is unlikely.
Yeah. What I do enjoy is that once they get back above ground and everybody is departing, like you have the goodbye from everybody that they were with. And
Yeah.
it reminded me, have you seen the movie Labyrinth?
Oh, yeah.
This,
How
for
many
some
times?
reason, this like last bit, or not last bit, but this bit where they've just come back above ground and everybody's saying goodbye to Julie and Felicity, and they're all saying a little thing that has to do with what you learned about them, felt exactly like being back in, what was her name, Sarah's room, where all of the
Oh, they
people she met
come
in the labyrinth.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the like the and then you end up with a should you need us? Should you
Yeah.
need us? And right before they all like dance again, that whole bit, it was like they were all saying their goodbyes to her. It felt exactly like this, and it's probably not the reference that I should be calling up, but here we are. Labyrinth,
I
Jim
mean,
Henson.
hey, look, you got what you got out of it. I did not.
Yeah.
I did not think Labyrinth. I thought this was uh this was part of the, like, unbelievable part, right? It's the, like, everyone got to be friends, right? And
Mm-hmm.
people are helping each other, and you know, the lawyer is going to help the guy who's trying to get a loan because, of course, he's a financial, like, lawyer. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes no sense. The I liked the idea of being able to think about Labyrinth in the context of this, but whether any of this makes sense as an actual world you're building, it doesn't to me. I can only look at this as a fantasy element that they brought into this episode to make something work.
I mean, do you find Labyrinth to be something that could really happen?
I think that's a movie that's entirely in the world of fantasy, right? And
Yeah,
that's what you are watching when you're watching it. This is, they brought that in to this show for this episode, similar to the fact that they did that, with magic in that one. And this didn't work for
yeah,
me very well, but there are other things that they bring in that do. This just didn't.
yeah. And whether it works for you or not is is your experience. I think the line for me is that everything that happened this episode could actually happen.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's probable. It can be as improbable as, like, one in a, like, gigaton zillion, right?
Oh,
I don't know how many that is.
hmm.
But it could happen.
Yeah.
Magic can't happen. It's
Oh,
not real. Like,
oh,
that
oh.
literally went into fantasy, whereas
Okay.
I think this just sort of suggested something that was very improbable.
No, I think the fantasy element is like, for example, I think of the movie Waitress in the same way, where it's like a lot of that could happen, but they're creating like a once upon a time sort of feeling. Once upon a time, all of these people entered a subway car And then the subway car stopped, and they all lived
Impromptu
happily ever
trial.
after by the end of it. And like, I think, could the scenarios have happened? Yes. Do I think they would have played out this way? Not at all. So they were constructing an idea of locking these two people down, so they had to talk. And that idea works, but I don't believe it would have unfolded like this. And I definitely don't believe everybody else on the subway car would have become friends from this.
No.
I
And
like,
I think
so
they
it
didn't.
doesn't
I
resonate from
mean,
that level.
um, I think they all just said goodbye. I don't think they really became friends or anything. But I get the once upon a time Megan, the queen mole priestess woman,
Mm-hmm.
um, being, mole being.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that I think. I mean, to me, it looked just like they were coming back from an underground club.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so you know,
But so now they're back above ground, and it's just it's quiet again, and it's just Felicity and Julie. And Felicity's like, do you want to get coffee? She's like, she kind of she's like tentative about it, but she's like, I'll do it. She invites Julie to coffee. Julie declines.
yeah, Julie's just like, no,
Going back to the loft.
don't want to do this.
And that's, and they part ways, and you get this note that like Felicity misses Julie.
Well, what she says about Julie is exactly how I felt she felt about Noel after their big blow up,
Mm-hmm.
where hopefully listeners will chime in on that. But basically, at the end of that fight in his loft, it was this feeling of Noel's got to be the one to decide now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the same thing here. It's I've done all I can do,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's up to Julie. I miss her. I've apologized ish. I've reached out. Like it's gotta be up to her now.
Yeah. Yeah. And then she'll be disrupted from thinking about that too much by having Ruby burst into her room.
Oh, I'm gonna admit I did not like this scene.
Mm-hmm.
This did not make me feel warm and fuzzy about Ruby.
Ruby is like, could Noel Crane be any cuter? He's such an amazing kisser. Thank you for not coming to the museum, the modern. She has no idea. She clearly has no idea that there's backstory between Felicity and Noel.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
mean,
yeah, it's awkward.
she just, they made her sound like she was 12 years old.
They did.
Could he be any cuter?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just, he's such a hottie. I'm just like,
Yeah, she's coming off a big makeout session. Not something
yeah,
Felicity probably wants to hear about, but so what?
no. But she could have used different language.
Yeah.
Like, my main issue with her in this moment is the way she is speaking.
Mm-hmm.
She sounds like she's 12 years old.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep moving. I mean, she's excited. Um, but we also we cut to a very quick scene of just like showing us the party that Maggie and Ben are at. And it's like, as
Which
you
is
pointed out, it's a very
gorgeous.
sophisticated party.
So
And
gorgeous.
they're sitting down, and we don't hear what they're saying, but we can see that they're talking. They're having an animated conversation. They're engrossed in each other, even though there's a lot of stuff that's happening at the party. And that's kind of what they show you there.
Yeah, I wrote it's a grown-up party.
Mm-hmm.
Ben is still a child. but he is now at a grown-up party. And I guess
And
that's
he's
the scene.
hanging. He's not like trying to do a headstand at a grown-up party.
No.
He's there with Maggie, and she's kind of
Yeah.
showing him the ropes, and he's engaged in that conversation in a way that makes sense for that setting.
Yeah, and maybe this is part of his journey towards becoming 78-year-old Ben or whatever you say
Yeah.
towards the end. He's like, ah, yes. this is my scene for now. I've
This
suddenly
is him as
become friends.
catapulting into his 30s.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's part of the journey, I guess. Yeah. And actually, I think that sort of takes us into the tone that I feel at the end of this, where this last scene at the modern, where Felicity's at the modern, I feel like the music carries in. It's almost the music that we were hearing in the background. I almost felt like it was something we would have heard from the fugue.
Yeah, it's the classical music, but it's not bolero, so I'm fine with it.
Ah, great, 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 great. But Felicity did finally make it to. This is another day, but she did finally make it to the modern, and they're sort of panning around. She's looking at one particular painting. They're sort of panning around her, showing you the room, and then you see Julie walking in because once again they were going to the modern on the same day, and um, they're both gonna stand looking at this one painting, and Julie comes up and says, "That song was really mean. I won't play it anymore." Um, and it's as much of a concession as Felicity really needs at that point. I think it's a big step from Julie.
Yeah, I really like this. I liked the shot in general where they had like right at the end they kind of pull out and we're seeing them, through the big museum doorless walk through,
Mm-hmm.
looking at this. And I love that it is such a parallel to what happens with Noel
Mm-hmm.
because they're looking at art. It's a picture slash photograph of a hand.
Mm-hmm.
They're standing next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Felicity has made this judgment in her head that the other person is the one who has to come forward and, like, push the relationship forward. And both Julie and Noel do that in the
Mm-hmm.
context of looking at a piece of art, not only just a piece of art, a black and white piece of art, like including a hand.
Yeah.
So I just felt like it was a really nice parallel to kind of how she is healing the relationship, both with Julie and Noel, but like the process seems to be similar.
Interesting. Yeah. I like that point. Yeah. Well, that's the episode. Um,
It is.
did you want to talk about the what the club did they say segment?
Yeah, I think that was actually a slightly different intro theme, which I appreciate.
Yeah. Yeah, it was close. It was more because I was weaker when I sang it, and my voice faltered a little bit there, but that's okay. Uh, we'll just say it's different. Um, so, what the glove did they say? We love this
Yes.
segment. I know you have a couple from this particular episode of lines that are going to receive some unnecessary censorship from you, where you'll put a glove on top of a word that was in the script. So what came up for you in this one?
Yeah, so I got two for this one. Gonna have to apologize for one of them to you, but
Oh no.
hopefully at least it will have a different meaning
Okay.
uh, with the gloves in it. But I'm gonna start with, so what I'll say is both scenes involve Noel,
Okay.
and in my mind at least, feel free to put in whatever you like, but in my mind, they both also involve penises.
Okay.
So feel free to make of that what you will. So this is the first scene. It is the infamous scene between Noel and Ruby. I have cut out some of Ruby's parts that were just like, ew.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going to get kind of a description of the bet by Noel.
Okay.
So here he goes. And we made a bet. Whoever less for the night paid for the whole night. So we were at Pepper's, which was this really cheap down in Boston, and we started pounding these
Oh.
just slamming them in like one, two, three, four. It was just so disgusting. But then Felix picks up a French
Oh.
and he takes a like one, like the winning, and the idea of it. I I can't handle it. I couldn't handle it. So I which of course made Felix.
Oh
So
my
there
God.
we are, both projectile.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was an epic one from you. That was like, it was like there's the Iliad, the Odyssey, and then there was that one.
They were both pretty long, I'm not gonna lie. That one was longer,
Wow.
but I felt like it was worth the payoff
Yeah.
to get the Felix stuff in.
Nice.
So the second one, which I actually think is better, is between Ruby and Noel.
Mm.
And so she says, "No, I mean it. I'm telling you, guys with smooth."
Whoa.
What? There's a whole thing about it. The connection between the roughness of a man's and his place in the modern world. See, thousands of years ago, the most successful men, the real leaders, had the roughest, and the weakest, most inadequate men had the smoothest. So I guess over the years, that statistic, that measurement has switched entirely. You can have your back.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh boy.
So there we go.
Gosh. I don't know how you keep finding them, but you do. I mean, it's just glove fest over
You
here.
know, everywhere I go, there's just there's Nolan penises. Um,
Yeah.
I had like three others that I thought about, but these were definitely the top two.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. Ah, I love it. That was the what the club did they say segment.
Oh, that was a
Um,
beautiful flourish at
you
the
like
end
that?
there.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was next time maybe we'll go Christina Aguilera style. We'll see how it goes.
Yes.
Um, so let's get into the after you listen to this tape, you have to erase it segment. We have so much listener feedback that's relevant for this. And you know what? Buckle up, folks. There's just so many things that like, first of all, thank you everybody for being like, I feel like we were gone for a couple weeks and then people were like, oh, you're back. And so now it's just we have so much cool feedback and I'm loving it.
It's so
And
great. And Melissa tells me, when I'm allowed to look and when I'm not. And I mean, it's just, ah, we miss you. We miss you guys so much. I mean, there's been so much in here just to think about and to like respond to on Instagram and email. And I don't know, I love getting your takes on everything.
yeah, and if you sent something or said something recently that doesn't get mentioned here, we're still holding on to it. I can't make this 4 hours longer with feedback, but we will cover a lot of stuff here, and I'm gonna try to find some ways to group it together for you because I think we've had a lot of like major things happen in the first 3 episodes of the show and then coming back off a cliffhanger and people are still catching up on what they think about it, and so I'm going to pull from a few different like major things and some questions people posed, but let's see, not necessarily in a particular order. In episode 2 we saw Felicity's breakup speech, so we asked about that, what do people think about it, and I wanted to share a few different reactions to that we received. So first I'll share, let's see, from we've got a lot of different things from at Aunt Mary 72.
I love
Uh,
her. Thank you, Aunt Mary.
you're the best. Well, you're so many people are great. You're all the
Yeah.
best. I don't want
Well,
to go
best
there.
is not relative. We're not going to
Yeah,
be relative with it.
we
We
have
are
many
absolutely
bests.
saying
Yeah,
you are all the best.
yeah. So her thought here was, I loved it because it was true. She did not call him anything he wasn't. I'm the biggest Ben apologist there is, but if he has growing up to do, he needed to hear this. And I think, Fish, that's probably a reaction to like, ooh, she called him a coward. Some of this
Hmm.
stings. She did say those things, but she felt like he needed to hear it. And then going further with that, we've got at Queen Shalana 75, who said, I'm glad she did it. I love Felicity and she has such a beautiful heart. To be honest, she read him for filth. And then she has those little shruggy shoulders emojis. But she said, but they my babies. I'm not
Oh,
going to lie to you, at Queen Shalana 75. I had to look up what reading somebody for filth meant. And then I found out it's exactly
oh,
right. That's exactly
yeah,
the answer.
that is exactly what she did.
Yes.
She read him, and, you know, good on her.
Yeah, totally accurate. Great way of, thank you for educating me. I'm now ready to talk like the people. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. At Galinsky underscore also jumped in with this. It was one of my favorite moments. She's strong, vulnerable, and owns her feelings. Deep down, Ben had to have known Felicity could not have kept it casual with him, just as he is freaked out at the possibility of her loving him. It's also really poignant for later this season in terms of Felicity's journey and Ben's journey. For reasons Fish will have to wait to find out.
Oh,
Whoa, she threw it down for you, Fish. I love it.
yeah. And no, it's good. It's good that I don't get spoilers. It's fine. As I said on Instagram, I will continue to make my predictions, and you can either marvel at how amazingly correct I am, or probably more often laugh at how far off I am.
Mhm.
Um, because
Yeah,
I'm loving the Maggie Ben thing.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so I don't know if that ends up being like a train wreck. Um, but I love it for now.
yeah. And we're getting these magical moments because they broke up. So,
Yeah,
there we have
that's
it.
true. That's true.
Now,
Um,
I'm not gonna
it'll be
lie.
interesting to see their journey. Like
Yeah.
I'm on board for the journeys.
Well, that's good because the show's gonna take you on some journeys. That's what it's gonna do. Um, so we're not even like halfway through audience feedback here. So here's one that I thought was very interesting. This is another one from at Aunt Mary 72, who was on fire this last week. I remember hearing J.J. Abrams say, maybe on DVD commentary, that freshman year, if Felicity's hair was down, she was strong. When her hair was up, she was more reserved. So maybe the haircut was symbolic of not needing her hair to give her strength. She was strong enough without it. Ooh,
Yep. And then didn't someone else say, I also heard that?
mm-hmm.
And remember all those times that I was super annoying and I was like, let's go scene by scene. Like, here she has her hair down and she's wearing purple, and here she has her hair up and she's not wearing purple. And I hadn't quite put my finger on the fact that it was strength. Like, I definitely thought they were trying to do something with her looks, but it
Mm-hmm.
also kind of fed into how she reacted in that moment.
Yeah.
Um, and she did take on more of a, like, I can be beat up on vibe, when she had her hair up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I can totally see that. That brings up like so many other questions for me, but
So
I don't know,
Fish and I
maybe.
have agreed we need to now go back and watch all of season one again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, once we finish season 4, we're just going to have to go back to season 1 again.
It's always fun when you have a show that makes you think like that. I had that feeling with Mr. Robot, where like every season you get some new piece of information where like, and now I need to go back and watch all the way again to this point because it makes me see everything from a new light. And this is that kind of information for me, where it's like, oh, okay, if that is in fact a lens that I'm meant to be looking through, what does that look like across the different moments that we see her doing her hair up or leaving it down? So I thought that was interesting. We have a question to pose to the audience. So Heather O'Brien. Heather, you've sent a lot of stuff and I'm going to save a lot of it. But you have a question and we need to get you an answer. So Heather asks, I also have a question. I'm desperately trying to figure out the song in the DVD version of season 2, episode 3, when Julie and Ben are taking down the poster. So some of the lyrics say, give you an inkling, show me an ocean, something like that. I actually wasn't sure if it was give you an inkling, show me emotion. So we're already on different pages here. She says, this is one of my favorite songs growing up and I can't seem to find it anywhere. Thanks in advance and love your show. I tried to look for, the song that Heather is referring to is very faintly in the background. And
I did love that song. I don't remember it, but I love that whole scene, the lighting, the everything, and the song. But I don't remember hearing that song earlier.
Yeah, so one of the things I think is true of a lot of what they put on season 2's DVD songs. There is another song that's going to come up later this season that drove me nuts looking for it, and I never found an answer. And I think what happened, maybe across the whole show, but definitely in some season 2 episodes, is that whatever song they used in the original airing, obviously they moved away from it because they didn't have the licensing or whatever. But then it seems like they got like unknown artists who would never know or lawyer up to fight them to get these replacement songs. And so I think sometimes even if you use like all of your resources and look up lyrics, I still can't find some of the songs that I'm looking for from this season. And that may be a challenge that we'll run into a couple times. So we're calling upon everyone. You're all detectives. Please go ahead. Feel free to be sleuths, gumshoes, whatever word you want. Yeah, we're looking for this song. Heather needs an answer, guys. What can we do?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember now because we were talking about the song that was playing on the roof. There was Crash Into Me in the original, but then the DVD version, I went down an Instagram rabbit hole, which I don't currently have up, but there is an account that's something like a song from, or from a song or something like that. And there are a series of them that are just Felicity songs. It took this woman 16 years to find the actual artist, and she had to like connect with the music director or something to find the artist and the song that's on the DVD. Not streaming, not original. And she found it finally.
They just ruined our lives. These it's like there are some really cool DVD songs, and there's the one that I'm thinking of, and you'll all be cluing in for it when we get there. There's a Greg Felicity scene. Because you haven't met Greg yet, but he'll show up eventually in like a cafeteria, and it's like, oh, that song is so good, and then the lyrics are very clear, and I've done all sorts of iterations of looking them up on Google, and I can't seem to find it. So this one we'll work on for Heather and see if we can come up with an answer. We have put this request out into the universe. Got 2 more, one from last episode and one from this one. So again, This one was an email from Mary Berrigan, who had some really interesting thoughts on Felicity and Noel. So she wrote, today's ancient history discussion led me to have an epiphany on the Felicity-Noel relationship. This is my theory. Noel has criminally low self-esteem. He's constantly looking to build his own definition of self from the women around him. The thing that Hannah, no H, Felicity, and Ruby all have in common is that they were young, inexperienced, and looked up to him. All of the relationships falter when the girls begin to grow. Note that Noel was drawn back to Hannah when she was floundering and looking to him to help her. On the Felicity side of this equation, Noel was there for her when she needed someone to bolster and encourage her. Felicity will always feel the gratitude and appreciation of Noel's best qualities from that time. However, anytime Felicity has personal growth, Noel reacts badly. Noel needs her weakness to feel strong. So on to the reckoning between the two from ancient history. I see it slightly different from both of you. I think the key to warming between the two is Ruby. The wide-eyed innocence of Felicity is replaced by Ruby in Noel's quest for self-worth. As a result, when Felicity is put into a position of weakness from the art critique, Noel is able to fall into his favorite position of rescuer without endangering his self-esteem because he now has Ruby. In my opinion, Felicity will spend the entire series locked in this dynamic with Noel. She wants to recapture the security he gave her when she needed it. She wants him to be that strong, reassuring strength she needed. He wants her to adore him and build him up. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk about Felicity and Noel. If you think this is long, wait until I get started on Ben and Felicity. Mary, go for it. We want your Ben and Felicity takes. We want all of them. If this is oh gosh. I mean, Fish, what do we do?
I mean, I could not have said it better myself.
Oof.
I mean, I think she is right on the money. The thing about season 1 Noel, and I guess it'll continue, is that he does have low self-esteem, and I always worry about relationships where one of the parties has really low self-esteem. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't, it's sort of a, like, if you can't love yourself, right? I mean, how do you expect anybody else to? It's RuPaul says it best. It's kind of it's gonna be a disaster. Because it's, at least in my experience, it's so hard to be in a relationship with someone who doesn't value themselves, because you have to tiptoe around everything and you have to build them up all the time. And even when you don't mean to be insensitive, or like anything good that happens to you is like a personal affront. Mm-hmm. And I absolutely can see that pattern, especially with Ruby, him just sort of falling into that role.
And Ruby's the youngest of these women compared to, well, not youngest. She's the most young. How do I want to say this, Fish? What's the English?
Youngest does seem correct.
So she is younger than Noel by more than Felicity or Hannah were at the time of their relationships. I think Hannah and Felicity are
what
both,
the word youngest means.
Yes, but
there's the biggest age
she
difference.
is the same age as, like, technically Hannah was the youngest at the time that she was having a relationship with Noel, but Felicity and Hannah are both 1 year younger than Noel, I think, and Ruby would be 2 because she's
can say that there's the biggest age difference between.
That is easily the best way to say this.
Yeah.
And you know what? I didn't get there. It's okay. That's why we have you, Fish.
Yeah, we work together.
So in a way, it's like, well, it didn't work out with Hannah. It really didn't work out with Felicity. And maybe he's going safer with somebody who needs him even more.
And she does seem to adore him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even his bad, cheeseburger stories or hamburger stories, I don't know how you come out of that more attracted to someone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that, what Mary raises here lines up with the fact that, going into watching the first season, I think both you and I were expecting to think of Noel as like the nice guy more often than it really bared out. And he had
Yeah.
some lines that were a little gross. And I think this throws a light on that makes a lot of sense to me, because there were such, like, and you pointed out a lot last season, Fish, like there were times where like Felicity would cry and Noel would smile,
Yeah.
and
It
this
was creepy.
fits with that idea. Sometimes it was the lines he said, but sometimes it was just like, oh, I see Felicity's hurting or struggling, and that would actually make him feel good and useful.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like this theory.
Yeah, and I mean, it bears out in, I think, the real world because, like, if you're sick or, you have a problem, and this happens both with like friends and family and honestly even colleagues at work, um, you can get into a dynamic where someone's sort of helping you out, and
Mhm.
as you get better and try to like reassert your independence and your ability to do things, it can go really badly with the other person. That is
Mhm.
not the dynamic they signed up for.
Yeah. Yeah. So, gosh, that was a really good one.
Yeah.
And we've got one more, and I'm pretty sure we haven't done this one, but stop me along the way if we have, Fish. And this is not meant to rile you up. We just specifically have one that lines up with this episode, but pulls from uh, the origin of Julie and Felicity's tension. And this one's from an email from Colleen Tenbus, who said, as far as the Julie Ben Felicity triangle, I'm not sure how Julie can expect Felicity to not shoot her shot when she has literally had a crush on him all throughout high school and changed her life's plan for him. Those strong feelings were always under the surface. She's only known Julie 9 or 10 months. I do agree with Fish, though, in that Felicity really should have said Julie and Ben dating wasn't okay. But how many of us at 18 knew ourselves well enough or had the confidence to say what we want and not what others want to hear? I'm just saying, I also understand why Felicity said it was okay when maybe it really wasn't. We've been sitting on this feedback for a little while, and I think I was waiting to get back to this one too, because we kind of left the Julie Felicity thing alone for a couple episodes while we dealt with Felicity and Noel. And
Mm-hmm.
so this kind of goes back into it. And this is basically a direct response to some of the feedback that you and I had, probably from the series finale of season one.
Yeah, could have been. I feel like you maybe did bring this up before, but I think it's worth bringing up again in this context,
Yeah.
um, because it's specifically brought up in this episode
Mm-hmm.
by different
Mm-hmm.
characters, and like you know, you and I have both kind of said our piece on it.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think it was crossing a line for Julie to date Ben. And I think Felicity should have stood up and said, no, it's not okay. Because I guess my view is if if at 18 we're not mature enough to stand up and say, no, it's not okay to date someone, are we mature enough to say, like, this guy we really like is coming on to us. I shouldn't date him because this girl that I don't really know very well, and I've never had a girlfriend before, so maybe girl code isn't really a thing,
Mm-hmm.
um, is pursuing me.
Yeah.
And
I,
I'm leaning on him for a number of important things in my life.
yeah. Well, I think that in the light of, apologies, folks, if we've mentioned this one before, but I think in the light of this episode, I also think this forces us to reconsider the judge's feedback, as we're calling him, of, like, were you
Yeah.
ever friends? Like,
Yeah.
and if you're never friends, what's girl
There is
code?
no girl code.
So it's like, I think this episode makes us completely revisit how strong was the bond to begin with. Were they ever really able to say the things that they thought? It's easy enough to support someone when you're unaffected by the outcome. So, Felicity can support Julie with Carol because what difference does that make for Felicity? The Zach stuff was a little stickier. Like, in what situations did Julie support Felicity? The stakes weren't as high for each of them individually to help each other. So the friendship wasn't really tested and under fire the way that it was as we get to the end of season 1. So
yeah, I guess when I think about like a girl's girl or like girl code, I tend to think of it in terms of a group of friends of girls. So, a girl code to me, like if you're a new person and you come into a group of like 4 female friends, you can't date any of their exes because you're now part of this group and you don't want to mess up the group. That's part of being a girl's girl. And that's part of girl code. Obviously it's felt stronger with, friends, but you're expecting to become more and more friends with all these people. But where I draw the line with girl code is you don't start dating someone's ex behind their back. But if it seems like there's not really anything there and you go to the person and you specifically ask, is this okay? And they say yes, then if you do it, you're not breaking girl code.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a useful thing about this episode that when we do get this trial format and this free for all that stems from it, no matter how preposterous the situation actually looked to me, I do think that different people in that scene were meant to be sort of proxies for some different viewpoints in the audience. And I'd be curious to know from the listeners if you have a viewpoint that you didn't feel was reflected there. If you didn't see anybody in that situation who felt like they were speaking on your behalf. Because I think that they were maybe trying to accomplish that. So you get points of view kind of like this, and you get the stuff that's more like Julie's the victim here. Like it's it's all support Julie all the way, and then you get like the middle-aged blonde woman who's like, friendships, like it's just like, thanks, lady.
No, the middle-aged blonde woman was like, I understand. I've seen Rent.
Yeah, but she was also like, remember when I was telling you about my own college friendships? She was just,
I thought
lady.
what she was saying was something maybe similar had happened to her in college, and she just went back and was like friends with her high school friends instead.
Yeah. Okay,
and
fair
then
enough.
Julie and Felicity were both like, yeah, that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's interesting, like all these different angles of it, and like the people who wanted to minimize, the people in that subway car who wanted to minimize their struggle and be like, this isn't a big problem compared to other ones, and then the people who jumped in and were like, no, friendship is important. Your heart is important.
Yeah, and the relationship itself between like the romantic relationship part was important as well.
So I suppose I do like that they kind of maybe they got the audience involved in really like bringing our own baggage to the front. And then you get that one guy at the end who's like, none of this matters because you're not actually friends. What? It's like we all put our baggage forward and then you just threw it all off the subway car. And then you start fresh, right? Hopefully is what we're landing on here. Kind of seems like they're prepared to do sort of that at the end of this. They haven't like I think that that last conversation Julie and Felicity have staring at the painting, it's not that they say, let's have coffee tomorrow. Like let's meet up all the time and be friends again and braid each other's hair. It's more like let's let's clear this slate. You've said you're sorry for your thing. Actually, Julie didn't exactly apologize, but she's like, the song was mean, not doing it again. So I think that was her concession. They both brought that forward, and I feel like they're prepared to somewhat wipe that slate clean. It might be awkward, might be weird, and they haven't come up with a plan for what to do moving forward that we've seen, but it does feel like there could be a way forward from this moment.
Yeah, I mean, I see it similar to, again, similar to Noel. Like they will see each other when they see each other, and it will be slightly less awkward, and then it will be less awkward, and it will be less awkward if they keep working on it. If they keep their feelings in check and their, sort of let go of things and forgive, um, and find new things to talk about and bond over.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the just anthology of feedback that we've got for that rolled into this week. Some of it from way in the past, some of it coming back to now, but I think it kind of catches us up, and you know, there's still more that we're hanging on to. So if you didn't hear something that you shared, it's probably going to crop up later. Um, but thank you all for providing that feedback, and I think this is a good chance for Fish, for you and me to rate this episode and see what we thought about it, bringing it back to this season 2 episode 4 episode. um, do you did you want to go first with this one, or do you want me to?
Um, I think I've gone first for a few of them, so I
Okay.
mean, I will if you want me to, but definitely feel free.
I might suck the air out of the room here, but that's okay. So uh, eventually I'll have to do it anyway, whether it comes now or later. So here we go. What unit of measurement did I give this one?
Yay.
I am rating this one in Stinky Girl poems.
Oh, that's a good one. I was kind of
Mm.
hoping it was going to be mole people, but
Could have been
but
mole
that's a
people, could
good
have been
one.
mean songs, but then I was like, nah,
Yep.
stinky girl. Blah, blah, blah. I don't want to hear it. Um, okay. This got dinged in a lot of different ways for a lot of different reasons. We've got a story about not one, but two people projectile vomiting. We had no Sally. Those are just the basics. But then also the fantasy piece didn't really play for me that well in terms of how I think this actually would have played out in that environment. Not to say that the subway couldn't break down, but do I think that this is what would have happened? No, I do not. So I landed at 5.9 Stinky Girl poems.
Wow.
And, honestly, I was surprised that I found it as funny as I did. Like watching the show this today was a better experience than I remembered having watching this episode previously. So there's that. Because this isn't one that I would look forward to on a rewatch. And I think that there were a lot of comedic elements, and they did a lot of hard work to bring Julie and Felicity back together. And okay, but not my favorite. I think it's slightly better than passable for me. That's my answer.
All right. Better than passable.
Mm-hmm.
That is a strong recommendation.
Mm-hmm. It's, to be honest, it's probably not the lowest I'm going to rate an episode this season.
Yeah. I don't know what's coming, but you have indicated that there's at least one episode you're not a huge fan of.
Specifically one, yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I had no problem with um, the subway stopping and the mole people coming out. And I know that sounds weird given how, like, it doesn't cross the line for me into magic. you know, highly, 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 highly improbable is not impossible.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was fine with it. And there were just a lot of really good lines, and I did find it funny. I love that Noel is still being snarky, and the whole like trial by subway car.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just enjoyed it. And I think part of it was I did find it kind of validating
Mhm.
because I agreed with a lot of what different people said.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I'm going with like a 9 for this
Ooh.
one. This
Okay.
this was like one of my top episodes.
Ooh. All right.
Yeah, I know. This like never happens. I mean, we disagree a lot, but like I'm not usually the one who rates it higher,
Very
especially if there's a
true.
big difference.
Well, it happened this time. I'll tell you that much.
Ah,
Okay. Well, all right. That's our feedback for today's episode and our ratings, but we would love to hear from you all. We've had enough conversation here where I think we've posed a lot of questions, and there's a lot of relationship rebuilding that's been happening across the first 4 episodes of this season. So we certainly welcome hearing from any of you about what you think. Send us your feedback, or if you have any art that's you're inspired to do, send us your Felicity fan art. You can send that to us by email at themelissafish@gmail.com. It's Melissa with 1 L, 2 S's, themelissafish@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram at Felicity Podcast, and there are so many fun people there having conversations about this show. Come find us, come play. And if you want to be informed when we drop new episodes, you can go ahead and sign up for our newsletter, which you can find the link for that in the show notes, wherever you listened to this podcast. And hey, if you feel so inspired and you want to help other Felicity fans find our podcast so they can get into the conversation, go ahead and rate or review this, whatever your options are, wherever you're listening to this. Hey, Fish, I mentioned it.
you did. I'm so proud of
It
you.
only took like 26 episodes. Go us. Yeah. What's coming up next, you may ask? Well, we're going to cover episode 5, which is called Crash. What do you think that means? What do you think's coming up? And it's not Todd Mulcahy gets hit by a bus again.
Darn. I mean, we know he's still alive. Okay, Crash. So the depth. Okay, wait. What was the one before the depths?
Ancient history.
Okay, so ancient history was Noel.
Mm-hmm.
The depths was Julie. So I kind of feel like they wouldn't rush Ben so much. I mean, maybe it's Ben starts dating Maggie, and then Felicity kind of crashes into their relationship and like gets hurt by that and all that kind of stuff. Like we haven't had a really good like Felicity Ben, something since the big speech.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, like it wasn't them being good, and Crash doesn't sound good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going with something that involves Maggie, Ben, Felicity, maybe Dean and DeLuca and Javier. That's what I'm going with.
Okay. Fair enough. I think this was a really unfair question because I'm looking at this and I have no idea why they called this episode Crash. So
Oh.
I
Well then.
I think I just sent you on such a wild goose chase, but we'll just see how much of what you think is going to bear out actually does
All
in the
right.
episode entitled Crash. It's the same
I'm
way I
gonna
feel about the
assume-
movie Primal Fear. I sit here and I think, why? Why Primal Fear? Maybe it'll become apparent to me when we watch the next episode why they called it Crash. but we will see.
Maybe. Oh, and don't forget to leave comments on who Melissa should dress up as for her inaugural Rocky Horror Picture Show live event. I mean, look, I've already said it. My vote is magenta. Her hair is fantastic. It looks just like Felicity's. So it's magenta for me. But you can pick anyone. She could be Frankenfurter. Like, just let us know. What do you think?
Wow. Okay.
What does her voice sound like?
Well, there you have it.
She's starting to get uncomfortable.
The thing is, I don't actually have any plans to go to something like this, but if I did, I want to know who I should be.
Yeah, I mean, it's happening. You said it's happening. We recorded it.
Did
I will make it your ringtone. You did.
I said probably something like, does that kind of thing even happen anymore? And you just spun it.
No, you did say that. You were like, does that even happen? And then I explained that it would happen like 8 times within 15 minutes of you. And you were like, all right, this is happening.
Well, still a fun exercise to say who I should be. Whether or not I have anything on the calendar related to this is irrelevant. You get to
at
say,
some point, I'm coming out there, which means at some point we're doing this.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. So next time we're talking about Crash. We'll figure out why it's called that. Maybe. It's my goal. May or may not be fruitful. Anything else you wanted to mention about this episode, Fish?
I don't think that would be possible.
Yeah. Well, that's fair enough. Until next time, Fish, don't hook up with Ben while I'm gone.
I'm a fish.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. And Melissa, this is something that we're now going to have to do together since you've confided that you haven't done this.
Okay.